Woo! Okay. Peace and shalom, family. Peace and shalom. What's going on? Turn my light on. Turn my light on right here. What's going on with my light? Hold on 1 second. Is that plugged in? Let's see. Okay. All right. There we go. It's much better. I think we're good. Okay. All right. This should be loud and clear. Should be loud and clear. All right. Hit 1 if you can hear me loud and clear. Hit 1 if you can hear me loud and clear. Or you can hit 2 if this sounds like there's an issue. Hit 1 if we're loud and clear. Hit 2 if there's an issue. All right. Okay. One. Okay. All right. All right. What's going on, family? What's going on? Shabbat shalom. We about to get into this session. I got some updates to share with you guys. And we're gonna get into the show like we normally do. Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate that. We give a couple of shout outs and we're gonna jump into this thing. Man, I'm so happy to be here on another Freestyle Friday, man. It's been almost a month. Man. So shalom to Jaslyn Berry, Scott Garrett Headley, shalom King, Haran Edwards, Bergen Paris, shalom, Sister Santawa, shalom, Keenan Clayton Jr., shalom, Aishu Cole, shalom, Ha Kodesh Management, shalom, Kohen Naji, Sovereign Naji El Hanabi, shalom, King Love, shalom, Latoris Harrison, shalom, King, Zedek Yehuda, shalom, DJ, shalom, Jay, shalom. Let's see. Nicole, shalom. Jordan's cadet in the building. Shalom, King. What's going on? Raphael, shalom. All right. Yes, we are. We're doing well. We're just doing some preparation for the Shabbat. So, took a moment for me to get everybody settled. I still have my Isha and my other son in the kitchen. So if you hear them and or the little one, that's why we're prepping for the Shabbat. All right, so I think I shouted out everybody. If you want to shout out, just say something in the comments and I got you. Right. All right, so when they look back on this in history, they're gonna be like, oh, these are the people that was really that KHM movement. Yeah, man. These are the VIPs. Y'all the VIPs, man. All right. Okay. Let us see what is going on. I'm gonna pull up some updates. Give you some updates, and we're going to get started, all right? All right, first and foremost, let's not waste any time. First and foremost, we have our KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study classes are coming up. We're going to do a quick introductory class on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, which is, March the 5th. We're going to do a quick introductory class. We're going to go over what the purpose of the classes is for, what are we going to accomplish, what is it going to enable you to do, right? What we're going to equip you with, right? How it's going to empower you. I mean, after y'all take these classes, right, you can look at any passage. Like I said, you can do like this. Let me show you real quick. A ton of books over here, right? So you can go like this. You can grab you any Bible. This, by the way, this is the Net Bible Full Notes Edition, right? You can grab any Bible, go like this. Put your finger on something, pull it up and say, oh, okay, I wonder what this is about. And you can take a look at it and you'll have the entire methodology on how to approach it, to parse it out, to translate, interpret, and then not just that, you get to look at the surrounding culture and do a cultural comparison or comparative cultural analysis, intertextual analysis, be able to take what you got from here, look at other texts, also understand the context, everything, right? All the tools will be provided to you. And you'll be able to get into the text deeper than you ever did before, right? So what I've done is that over the years of me, studying the Bible and going through courses and looking through and perusing through scholarship, reading books and so forth, what I've done is I've streamlined the methodology that works the best for getting the most out of the text. Okay. And I've condensed it into a format and I've refined it so that way it is an approach that helps you get the most out of your studies, no matter how much time you're able to put in it. All right. Our classes are typically 2 hours long on Tuesdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. All of our $50 tier patrons who have upgraded or joined anew, you will be getting messages on Patreon to let you know the details of these classes. So make sure you guys are paying attention to your messages. And anybody else that wants to join the class, but you don't want to sign up for Patreon, we can definitely send you a separate link that you can click on, and you will also be sent the details for the classes when they begin. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. We had 100 slots. Now we're down to 35 slots. Okay. So we only have 35 spots left. And there's we got about 2 weeks before we get into the first class. So make sure you sign up ASAP because we're gonna close off the seats. Come not let me see what day is that. On the 12th. So March 12th. You have to by 4:59 p.m. make sure you get you a spot because at that time, if you don't, once we start that class, the first official class, you will not be allowed to join the classes until April. Okay, because typically, the bulk of the classes that you really need for the meat and potatoes, we do over a 30 a day period. We do once a week. So within 4 classes, you should pretty much get almost everything that you need. And then when we open it up again in April, then you'll be able to sign on afresh and then we'll go through the process all over again. Obviously, we're going to use different passages, different resources, but the technique will be the same, right? So please, if you're interested, that is your opportunity to sign up. So join the Patreon, upgrade to the $50 tier, get locked in because we only got 35 slots left. When I announced this, was that about 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, we had 65 people, right? So some people was already signed up. So out of that 65, maybe 30 people were signed up already, and 35 people signed up from the beginning of February to now, right? And all we got is 35 slots left. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing pretty good with the amount of interest, and I'm so happy that everybody's still interested. I mean, I announced this way back, I think 2021 or 2020, something like that. And it's been several years, you know what I'm saying? A lot's been going on. We had chapter launches and we had COVID and a whole bunch of stuff was going on, you know what I'm saying? So it made it very difficult to stay on target. But I committed and I said this year is the year for it, you know what I'm saying? It's the best time, you know what I'm saying? It's the best season. And with everything going on, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel sorry for some of y'all because you're not really going to need your mores in a sense where you need their assistance to break down the text. Yes, you would need them for leadership, right? Mentorship, maybe encouragement, right? Stuff like that. But when it comes to actually diving into the text and breaking it down, I mean, once you get these techniques, you'll be straight. And these classes are for, from, I would say, ages 18 all the way into 100. You know what I'm saying? So just realize that these classes is for general public, right? So there's only but so much that I can do in regards to the intricacy of things that will be shared. But the objective is to provide a deeper degree of literacy and understanding with the text. Whether you're from the age of 18 to 100, everybody will be able to apply the same methodology and get similar results, right? So that's the goal, and that's the reason why we're doing it. All right. Let me say shout out to Ancient Paths of Faith, Shalom, Talmid the Commando, Shalom King, Kaya Houston, Shalom, Nilante, Shalom, Jeremiah 29:5, excuse me, Shalom, Kabawad, Shalom, Shalom, AJ Bethea, Shalom. You said you emailed. I'm sure that my team emailed you back. If not, then I'll check it over the weekend and make sure we get to you. Okay. So yeah, so make sure you guys sign up for that. Again, these classes is going to be groundbreaking because I mean, once you learn the technique, it's like, man, I wish I would have learned this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? But that wasn't the time of the season, right? So yeah, I was providing this opportunity. You know, I went heavy in prayer with this, and you know, this all the stuff that I've accumulated and how I learned how to study, I'm giving it to you, right? So all praise to the Most High for that. All right. So with that being said, transitioning from there, if you're interested in watching the full lecture for the Shechem Did Not RAPE Dina Stop the Cap, that lecture is available on Patreon. So the full lecture, it's a 3-hour lecture, is available on Patreon. So make sure you check that out. So those of you signing up for the classes, also peruse through the content that we have on Patreon, and that will be one of them, so you can watch it in full. Okay. I've edited it, and it's been you know, shot from a different camera than the webcam, so the quality is a little better. And you also provide it with the PowerPoint and the PDF document so you can follow along, right? So these are things that you really don't get when you're giving a lecture, right? You're not really provided a document that gives you all of the references that you need to follow along, right? Whether it's the scripture, the lexicon, the bibliography, you get all of that, and then you get the PowerPoint in case you can't see something or you miss something, you can take it at your pace, right? So with the PowerPoint and the PDF and watching the video, you can actually follow along at your pace. You can pause, go back through the stuff and everything like that. So that's what I'm going to do going forward with the lectures, right? So the next lecture I'm going to do is going to be a free YouTube lecture, and it's called Divine Patronage, Explicating What Calling on the Name of the Lord Means in the Bible. So I've revealed some hints on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, you already got a heads up. I also showed some of the sources that I'll be using. I have about 16, 17 books. Some I read already, a few that I purchased recently, so that way I can stay fresh on the topic. And just to sum up, you know, like I mentioned, there's a I guess a tagline or phrase is that don't invoke the king's presence empty-handed, right? So if you invoke the king and you want to receive his presence, you cannot be empty-handed when he appears. When he shows up, you must provide something, right? And then you're going to learn about what patronage is in the ancient Near East, and then what divine patronage is in the ancient Near East. And these are going to be the tools you need to actually unlock this phrase, calling on the name of the Lord. Like, what does that mean, right? So we're going to go through the invocation, right? How the deity is invoked, right? The gifts that are given to the deity, right? So that way his presence can remain with the individual that's invoking him. Then we're going to transition to that into worship. What is worship, right? And then after that holistic experience, right, when you get from the invocation to the sacrifice to the worship element, right, then it's going to be the commitment element or the covenant element, right? So all of these things are intertwined when you call on the name of the Lord, right? So once you understand how this is broken down, then when you go back to the text and see all the places where that's mentioned, you know exactly what's taking place, right? So the text is not always explicit in every case, but there's enough case examples that we can put together and deduce exactly and parse out exactly what is taking place, right? And how it can be replicated today, right? I told y'all that I was going to do a lecture on prayer, right? Well, this one has to precede that because you have to understand this first before we get into the lecture of praying, which is going to, I mean, that's probably the most highly anticipated lecture that I have yet to present, right? Because I get asked about that all the time, right? So I know you're going to enjoy that. So yeah, hold on to your horses. But this next lecture, I wanted to have it done by the end of February, but time permitting, I wasn't able to. And there was additional resources I wanted to incorporate. So I'm not sure when I'll present it. Not sure. Probably in April, more than likely. And then I have other lectures to do, like I'm gonna do one on the divine counsel, the sons of God, dealing with the Rephaim, very, very important. I did a lecture back in 2019, 2020, dealing with, El Shaddai, Yod He Vav He, El Elyon, one of a kind, or three of the same, or three of the same, one of the kind, or whatever, three of a kind, or one of the same. And that was a precursor to this follow-up lecture, right? So a lot of these lectures are inextricably connected, right? They're intertwined. So if you watch all of them successively, you'll be like, wow, okay, I see what's done here and it links up to here. Like when I do lectures, most of the time they're all intertwined. I put Easter eggs in everything. And I know a few people hit me up and say, wow, I caught this, wow, I caught that. There's Easter eggs that link you to each other lectures. It's crazy. So if you ever go back over my catalog of lectures, just watch it with Easter eggs and say, man, what's the Easter eggs, and write them down. You know what I'm saying? So when I do these things, man, is extremely sophisticated. And the reason why I do that is because, again, we're digging a deep well. And I mentioned to you guys before why you have to dig a deep well, right? What is the importance of digging a deep well of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding? Because whenever there's a drought and things are going on in your life, you have a wellspring to draw from, right? So I just want to give you a heads up on that. Also, we still have the Q&A reserved for our VIP members who paid for the Shechem Did Not RAPE Dina. So stay tuned for an email coming soon with the details for that exclusive one-on-one that we'll be doing for that lecture. You can ask any question in regards to that lecture, and you have a whole hour with me to break it down, explain it, everything else, okay? Also, what I'm going to do is that will also be available to our Patreon members at $20 and up. You will also get the link for that one-on-one, okay? That will be a YouTube session, private session on YouTube, okay? All right, so I wanted to make sure that I share that with you guys, all right? Also, all right, we had a video that I just posted up on the Patreon, and also I put it on YouTube as well, dealing with the the ancient pre-exilic Israelite marriage protocol, which is a very insightful video. The first part of it is from the Shechem Did Not RAPE Dina lecture. Again, that lecture has so many gems in it, it's crazy. Like I can pull so many sections from it and make a whole bunch of videos and stuff like that. But I'm done with it now. So if you want to watch it, you got to see the full thing on Patreon. But I also show part of my marriage ceremony, right? Now there's some elements of it that is not captured in that highlight video. But I will be doing a follow-up lecture specifically on marriage. That was not the marriage lecture, right? That was just an introduction to the ancient pre-exilic Israelite marriage protocol, right? But there is a separate lecture that I have lined up where I'm going to go into explicit detail about it, probably 2-hour long video. So once you watch it, like, you know exactly what marriages look like then and what they should look like today. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that. I was just looking at what you're saying in here. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to what you're saying in a second. So also we have our Let's Talk About It video podcast. This is something that I've shared for about 2 years now, and I'm finally able to record it this year and put it out. So I can't wait to share that. Now, episode 1 is called Pest Control. That will be shared also on YouTube for free, just to kind of gather the interest in the actual podcast. But it's going to be a regular podcast that I air on Patreon. So make sure you're signed up for Patreon, and $10 and up get you access to the video podcast. And it's stuff that I speak frankly, openly, and freely about. And some of the content I can't do on YouTube because YouTube will definitely flag it. Because YouTube or any other social media entity cannot restrict what I say with this series, is a direct upload to Patreon. And the stuff that I'll be discussing is not violating any of Patreon's community rules. You'll be able to get raw and uncut, right? And that's, as you can see at the top, raw, uncut, right there. Right. So this is the hat that I use wherever I go to advertise. Also got the Death to Dogma hat and the KHM hat, whatever. So for the most part, I really just wear stuff to promote not only KHM, but principles regarding the Most High. And I'm gonna get into that in a second. All right. So make sure you guys sign up for the Patreon so you can get access to the video podcast. Also, I've added maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 posts, maybe 10 to 15, about 10 to 15 posts new on Patreon over the past month with tons of content. So again, I mean, even if you're free. And another reason why I'm driving everything towards Patreon, even you can even sign up for free, right? Is because YouTube is targeting this channel. You know what I'm saying? They've removed over 20 videos that I put on this channel, 20 videos. And I've done live streams before when I show this to you. They're just pulling videos down or demonetizing, whatever they can do. Right now, I'm being shadow banned because I'm looking at the trending and the analytics, and it's like there's no visibility for my content. Why? It's crazy. My Freestyle Fridays, normally they get about 3,000 to 4,000 views. Now they barely get 2,000 views. And I'm looking at the trending, and I see that after they recently started deleting my videos, then all of a sudden my viewership is gone. And then I have people that reach out to me and say, Divine, I don't be seeing your videos and what's going on. Like, it's really crazy. So I'd rather move away from this platform and transition to Patreon. And again, it's going to get to a point that I may just do the live streams on Patreon for free. You can just go to Patreon and watch it for free. But I have to do something about that because that is interfering with the truth going out there. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, this channel and this ministry has changed so many lives, like for it to be, you know, affected detrimentally simply because they don't like my content and they say I'm violating community rules or whatever the case may be is just asinine to me. And it doesn't make sense to keep making the effort that I have to walk on eggshells just to talk and speak to the people. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So nonetheless, a lot of that will also be remedied because I'm moving over from a current church management platform that I use to one that is much more UI pleasing, that is much more interactive, right? We're going to launch that. I'm going to pilot it with our Patreon members first before we make it public. But in there, I could do everything, right? Through an app or a website or even Roku. If you have Roku, Apple, Prime, and I forgot the other one, either LG or Samsung, right? You can actually get an app and watch it right on your TV screen, right? It also has in-app messaging for groups and stuff like that. It's phenomenal, right? I had a meeting with one of the sales rep today, and I saw everything that it will enable me to do. We're gonna have an official website and everything that's tied into the app. It's very next level, right? And that's exactly what I was looking for. You know, the one that we currently have is kind of clunky and weird, you know what I'm saying? But while it's still there, you know, we still have the KHM app, you know what I'm saying? You can go right to our community tab and scroll down through the posts and find that post about the app that we've been promoting since what, 2020? I think it was. I've been promoting the app since 2020. Just get the app for now, right? You can still, you know, access us on all social media. There's a Bible app in it. You get announcements and updates via push notifications, etc. But that will eventually get sunset, and we will eventually launch a new platform that will allow us to engage you more with a cleaner UI. And you know, it's just phenomenal, right? So I can't wait until we release that, and you guys will definitely be able to take part in that. And that way, you know, we don't have to use YouTube at all, right? I mean, we have almost 75,000 subscribers on this channel, which is immense. And it's crazy that we have that many subscribers, but yet most of those subscribers don't even know that we're going live or don't even know that content is being uploaded unless they go and check for it, which is unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? It's really unfortunate. But with that app, we'll be able to reach more people. You know what I'm saying? So it's all Gucci, right? It'll be taken care of, y'all willing, and we ain't got to worry about it, right? There's always a contingency, and we're going to deal with the contingency, okay? All right, with that being said, moving on, we have an event in New York on the 24th, and it's called Descent for Greatness, our march on the UN, okay? So the International Decade for People of African Descent has been a program that the UN has voted on via a resolution and have implemented in all the member states, including the United States, are to integrate these resolutions into their political policies, legislative writing, etc., to remove xenophobia, stereotyping, prejudices, and any red tape that's keeping us from getting access to justice, health, education, identity, etc. Right? So we in the diaspora is a subset called Israelites, right? That's a tribe that we are, Israelite tribe within the subset. And this deals with the international community, which means we're not limited at the state or federal level when it comes to getting granted these privileges that we should already have, right? It's something that I've been talking about since 2015 when I found out about it, right? So 9 years, almost 10 years that I've been talking about this and have not even seen a huge, overwhelming desire for this approach, which is unfortunate. However, we're going to give it one last push. We're going to have our event in New York. The flyer will be out by Monday, y'all willing, and it will be blasted on all social media platforms. I'm going to do a promo video for it and everything like that. We only have 50 in-person slots, but we will be doing a paid live stream if y'all interested in it. It costs a lot of money to gather the resources. We're trying to get people from the UN to speak and all that. It's a lot that we're putting into this. We have guests of honor that will be there. Sister Shonda, some of you might know her. Brother Zion Lex, etc. Like, we'll all be there, right? So it's a KHM event, and you guys are going to love it, right? If you are a vendor, we have vendor slots available as well, right? So when I release the flyer, I'll do the video while I'll explain all of that. But I just want to give you a heads up that that is another event that's coming up very soon, less than a month, right? So I think, 23 days, 24 days. It'll be 23 days in another minute, but 23 days. So we got about 3 weeks of marketing. We got to do RSVPs and everything like that. Shout out to my KHM New York chapter for helping to put that thing together. Sister Santamar is there, her mother Leslie, and Stanley. You know, they're really the drivers for KHM Atlanta, but we got like 15, 20 other members out there. So again, it'll be open to the public, but we're only going to RSVP for 50 slots. After 50 slots, we're going to have to cut off the ticket sales, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to let anybody in at the door. We may have some slots, maybe a few at the door, but we're not going to encourage that, right? Unfortunately. So you'll just get the link to the live stream and watch the live stream, right? But this is a experience that we want to put on for the community because, I mean, I'm saying, like, this is the last year. After December 31st, 11:59 p.m. this year, the UN and international community is taking this subject off the table, and they're just delegating to a small group called the people. What is it? The people of the African diaspora, and they're going to deal with this by going and visiting the different member states and discussing with them, right? What are they doing to implement these resolutions and things to kind of, to provide a better quality of life for people of African descent, right? Which we are a subgroup of called Israelites, right? So they're taking it off the international table. They're still going to have the international holiday that the UN has for it, which is March 25th every day, the International Day of Remembrance for the victims of the transatlantic slave trade and their descendants. So that's going to be March 25th every year. So that's still on the table. And that working group of experts on people of African descent, they're going to be delegated after this year to working on that, but on a smaller scale. So we're trying to get everybody grandfathered in. So there's a ton of benefits. And when you watch the lecture that we'll be doing on it, we're going to explain all of it in detail with you guys, right? And again, this is the last year for it. All right. So again, if you can make it to New York on March 24th, you don't want to miss it. If you can't make it, again, only 50 slots, we will be offering a paid live stream so you can still watch it live. All right. And again, this thing is, I mean, the amount of solutions that's entangled into this program is phenomenal, but yet it's not advertised anywhere. That's done on purpose. They have the program and say, hey, it's there. You don't have to advertise it, but we made it available. It's up to you to figure out what it is. Like, I found about it by accident on a train coming back from Dr. Ben Yokanan's wake. I was on a train coming back from his wake. Me and a couple other people. There was 2 elderly women that was on there, part of Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition. And we happened to strike up a conversation, and they was generous enough to share the information with us, right? And at first I was like, that's not going to do nothing. And then I looked into it. I said, oh, this is really something that we need to know about. And again, I've been pushing this for years. There's even a video that I did. Matter of fact, one of my admins go to the YouTube channel and post the video that I did in 2018 when I went to go visit. All right. Post the video 2018 when I went to go visit. One of my admins, please post that in the chat and you can check it out and see some of what I'm talking about. All right. So again, this is going to be a groundbreaking event. We have several guests of honor that's going to be there. You don't want to miss it. Right. And if you happen to be in New York, it's even easier. Right. If you're not in New York, I would press to go to the event anyway. Right. But again, the official unveiling will be when the flies launch, and that would be this Monday. All right. So just want to give you guys a heads up. Also, the feast days is coming up. I released the dates. If you have not seen that, then I need you to go to the community tab, scroll down, and see the actual dates for that. So Passover is on April 8th. The Feast of Unleavened Bread starts on the 9th, right? And then from there, I think June 2nd is when we have Feast of Weeks. And then going into September 17th is when we have Feast of Trumpets, etc. Right? So those dates are readily available. You can access it on all my social media platforms. It's on Patreon, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, that I think Twitter too, Twitter as well, or X. It's on all social media platforms. Okay. So also I know people have been asking about, hey, how do we, understand about the feast day? So when we do our Passover event, it's going to be here in Atlanta. I'm going to spend a little bit of time discussing how to reckon the time, right? And I've done, there's a whole playlist where I discuss this, right? That's available on the YouTube channel. So you can always access that and see how to reckon it. You don't have to wait for us to release the dates. You can also generate the dates yourself based on the method that we've supplied, and then you can match it against what we release. And then over time, you realize you don't need to match it against anything because you'll always have the same dates that we have, right? Again, it's based on relative dating and not absolute dating, which the Gregorian calendar is based on. And this is very important because it's 6 signs that you utilize, celestial and terrestrial, in order to determine what time it is, right? And when to start the count, right? So some people may be new to the channel, is not aware of that, but I'll probably share some information on that. I don't know, in a live stream briefly before we actually get closer to that date, just so you have an idea of, how to gauge it, etc. Right? But again, we have a whole playlist with that information. Okay. All right. So also, let me share something real quick with y'all. Okay. Also, if anybody is interested in getting a garment for the feast days, I mean, you have more than enough time now. Click on the link in the chat so that way you can get your feast day garment at an excellent price, customized just for you. I'm going to show the screen real quick. All right. Also, if you have daughters or sons and they're going to have prom this year as well, you can go to the same source and get them a prom suit and or gown. It can have your own style, your own flavor on it. Like you see, these ones here were created by the seamstress, which is Maisha. So again, she does excellent work. A lot of the custom garments you see me wear in lectures and stuff like that, she actually put them together for me, right? So I mean, again, if you are looking for an outfit for feast days, she even does him and hers as well, right? So if you want to get a him and hers, you can get that as well, right? As you can see right here in this image right here. And you can get matching garments like that. It's beautiful. These two bridal wear as well. I know a lot of y'all getting married this year because I already got 6 requests to officiate over weddings. And again, if anybody wants to patronize that, email us at DivineProspectKHM@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up for your wedding, right? We officiate it. We provide the ketuvah. We do the rites, etc., right? And we kind of, get you back into the culture, right? Our own halacha in regards to how we perform weddings in the diaspora for those who were brought over via the transatlantic slave trade over here to the Americas, right? We should have our own independent, distinct halakha. It should not look like any other groups of Jews around the world. It should be distinct for us as an identifying marker of who we are, right? And our experience here in Americas and our ancestors' experience coming over here, being forced over here, right? So we're going to restore that culture, which is the foundation for building anything. And with that, we can get back to a common community and become autonomous, which is self-governing and take care of all of our community affairs and reparations without a handout from other groups or entities. Okay. All right. So again, the link is in the chat if you guys want to patronize and get you an outfit for Seamlessly Royal Designs, right? Here's some example work that was placed onto an AI figure as well. So you can see the type of work, him and hers, that can be created for you and your Ish or Isha, or even for your kids, right? All the way down to youth sizes available as well. Okay. All right. So I want to make sure I pointed that out. So in case y'all were interested and say, hey, you know, okay, feast day is coming up. How can I get a garment? There you go. Right. Look no further. All right. All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. So let me see. Okay, what's next? All right. So that I got most of that out the way. We got a few more items and we're going to transition into the show. So recently, if you've been following us on social media and on the community tab on YouTube, which everybody should be following the community tab on YouTube, make sure you engage it, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. All right. So we know that visibility is there, because if you don't do that, then the algorithm is not going to help anybody else see it if you've already seen it, right? So help other people see it by clicking the thumbs up and leaving a comment in all of our posts on the community tab. All right. And I would say check it weekly, right? Because we always update something on there weekly, right? So I created, with the help of another KHM member, shout out to my brother Seth in South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, came up the idea with these shirts called the Be Like series. And the purpose of these shirts really is to witness to Christian friends, associates, co-workers, whoever, to let them know that their beloved figures and characters in the New Testament were Torah keepers, right? So I'm going to show you some examples of this. All right. If you haven't already seen it, right? Right here, we have the Be Like John. What does that say? Be like John, a Torah keeper into the end. So we go into an incident in Mark chapter 6, verses 18 to 20, and where he was addressing Herod for marrying or messing around with his brother's wife, okay, which is against Torah. And then we show you the Torah law that's based on the actions of that event, right? Again, you don't have to open up your mouth and say anything. All they got to do is read the shirt, and that will be a definite icebreaker to get into scripture, right? There you got right here. This is the KHM logo, Culture, Community, Autonomy, man. Right? This is new drip, right? All of our t-shirts that we ever offered gives you potent information on the shirt. You don't have to say nothing, right? It's a drip with designs and information that will communicate what you stand for without you opening your mouth. It does all the work for you. And a lot of people are shy in conveying the truth or conveying their identity. These t-shirts do all the work for you. All right. The next one we have in our series is this one right here. This is the New Testament believers be like Paul, a Torah keeper to the end. We get into Acts chapter 21, which shows Paul performing the Nazirite vow based on James and the elders, the OG James and the elders, telling him to get it done so people would know he lives in observance of the law. And then we go into Torah, Numbers chapter 6, and shows exactly what he did, which includes giving a sacrifice. Next is the one that I have on right now. This is the New Testament believers be like Peter, a Torah keeper to the end. So we go into Acts chapter 10, where Peter's shown a vision and says that he has never eaten anything that's unclean, even after Yeshua passed. And then we go into Leviticus chapter 11, where we break down in here just a few passages in regards to the dietary law. I know people, some people saying, well, why are you using the English names? Because you're witnessing to English speaking Christians that know these figures by their English names. They don't know them by the Hebrew names or even the Greek names. They know them by the English names. So again, you got to meet people where they're at. This is just an introduction into the truth. You ain't got to beat them over their head. Just let the shirt do the talking for you. The last one we have is this one right here. New Testament believers, be like Jesus, a Torah keeper to the end. When we go into the New Testament, this is a production, a pre-production run. So actually, it's missing the scripture or the book chapter. But it's going into the Sabbath, right? This is the book of Luke, chapter 4, where Yeshua or Jesus is keeping the Sabbath. And then we give you Torah for that, Leviticus chapter 23. Okay? Now, again, all these shirts do all the witnessing for you. You don't have to say anything. You can wear it at a family function. You can wear it when you go over to visit your mom, your dad, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, right? Your brother, your sister, whoever, and don't even say nothing. If they see the shirt and they bring up the conversation, then you engage. If they don't bring it up or whatever, that's fine. But at least the witnessing is there. The key thing is that the law is a witness against those who do not keep it. So they'll be seeing their beloved figures keeping the law, but yet they are not. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, imitate me as I imitate the Mashiach, Christ. And what did he do? Keep the law. What did Paul do? Keep the law. If you don't realize that he kept the law, then you won't understand the context of his letters. He was dealing with legalism, but that's another conversation altogether. But these shirts are fire, and they will, trust me, I've wore them since we started making them about 2 months ago, and I've gotten so many, because I'm in the Bible Belt, right, out here in Georgia. Man, so many people came up and said, hey, what's that? You know, mostly white people, right? Hey, what's that? A few black people, hey, what's that shirt you got? Just let them read the shirt. And I said, hey, when you get home, go ahead and check out these scriptures. They said, wow, okay, I never knew that, you know, blah, blah, blah. My pastor never taught me that. Or, you know, I never seen that before. Never heard that before. The shirt did all the witnessing. I didn't put on the shirt to say, hey, come on, sign up for KHM. And no, it's not about that. It's about the Most High. Let him get all the glory and credit. We just let the shirt do the witnessing for us. So I didn't even have to open my mouth. They just take a look like that and they want to see it. So you want to see it? Just let them see the shirt. Let them read it. And their faces, man, I should record some of those encounters because their faces be like, some of them open up their phone, they're looking it up and everything like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, make sure you patronize. And if you're interested in getting a t-shirt, right down below in the description is the link so you can purchase the t-shirt. But again, I'm telling you, man, this is the new drip, right? Now we got one more new drip up. Well, it's not new drip, but one more drip that I want to show you real quick. So give me 1 second. Also, since we have Easter coming up, you need the drip for Easter. Jesus did not resurrect on Sunday. Look at that. Cancel Resurrection Sunday. Because oh, it's not Easter. Okay, cancel Resurrection Sunday. Then on the back, it's the drip. What does it say? Oh, and Easter means Passover in the Bible. Get them educated a little bit right there. Look at that. It's the drip. This the drip. On Easter, I'm going to go visit some more churches with the drip on. I did this before. You can watch that video. I think it's on the Patreon. I think it's on here too. We're going to throw the shirt on and go visit some churches, man. You know, I'm going to be in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to go in and just wear the t-shirt like I did before. Nobody said anything to me. Everybody give me crazy, weird looks, you know, reading the shirt, going back, looking at their Bible and all of that. Hey, if you're a Christian, I have no problem with that. But be a Christian founded on truth, okay? And this is the truth. Jesus did not resurrect on Sunday. He just didn't. Now, if you're interested in getting you one of these shirts, because I don't have it down below in the description, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in the chat, and then I'll put it in the description later on. Right. There you go. Here's a link right here. This is for those of you who want to enjoy Easter service. And I ain't gonna front on Easter. They be playing some dope worship music, man. You know, they get you right in the spirit, man. And the pastor, I don't know what he be talking about half the time, but the worship is fire. I ain't gonna front. I still like Christian worship sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Got to change the words around a little bit, but Christian worship is fire. You know what I'm saying? So it still gets you into that zone. You know what I'm saying? You just got to change the names up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is the Easter drip right here. All right. So make everybody in here should have one of these. If you don't even get the Be Like series, which I don't know why you wouldn't get that, make sure you get this drip right here, man. Okay. I'm just saying. All right. The link is right there. Make sure you click the link and get you a t-shirt ASAP. Make sure you have it before Easter Sunday. Make sure you have it before Good Friday. You can wear it on Good Friday too. And then come back that Sunday with the same shirt on. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, the new drip, the t-shirts got a witness. Like we don't make t-shirts just to advertise KHM or whatever. I mean, we have a t-shirt like that. But all the t-shirt we made, I think we got like maybe 15 different designs, right? Of our t-shirts, all conveys a message. All is informational, right? Attention grabbing, etc. Like, this is how you witness. I don't like that active evangelism, right? I prefer to either wear some gear on that advertises it, right? Whether it's my hat or a shirt or whatever the case may be, and or providing a service, a program, a product to the community and allow our works to witness to them. And then what happens is once you resolve a societal ill, it would draw them to, hey, why are you guys doing this? What are you about? And this, and that. Why are you wearing fringes? And then we get into the conversation because now the true seekers are coming after the information. Why waste our time harassing randoms on the street? So the scripture says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. We got to let our light shine. And then say just talking about it, says let your life shine. That means you got to live it and be it, and it will draw people to the works, and then you tell them about the Father. That's what Yeshua said. And you can't have the Father without the Son, so you learn about the Son as well, right? But this is how we are to live. So we should actually wear stuff that can draw people in. So if you're shy, here's a way that you can witness without saying a word. All praise to the Most High. I want everybody in here to get a shirt, either from the Be Like series or for Easter. Okay? Let the world know the truth without opening your mouth. And I'm telling you, the type of conversations you had, looks you'll get, is worth it. They're all priceless. All right. All right. So I'm transitioning away from all of the announcements and stuff like that so we can get into the actual series, right? Correct. I agree. So we ain't got to harass nobody. All right. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. All right. Hey, get them in before the sun rises, because sunrise in the Shabbat can't purchase anything. Right. You can purchase it now in the evening. And if anybody wants smoke on the Shabbat, when the Shabbat starts, hey, I'll send a link after I'm done with these announcements and we can get it cracking. Otherwise, we do Q&A. All right. All right, so transitioning from that, one last thing I want to show you guys. As you guys know, we have our Jubilee manumission service that's there to provide assistance with debt elimination, credit repair, and financial planning, right? You'll see the email in the description below if you're interested in that or know anybody that needs assistance with their credit score, their credit report, because they're about to buy a house, they need to get a car, they're about to take out a loan to start a business, whatever the case may be. Let us assist you in getting your credit in order so that way you will not get rejected. I tell people all the time, be so blameless that nobody can tell you no. When you live a blameless life, you will make it extremely difficult for somebody to tell you no. Sometimes it will be given without you even asking because you're letting your light shine. All praise to the Most High Yah and the Son, Yeshua. All right. So if anybody out there have any credit woes, issues with debt, we can help. Email us at jubileemaymission@gmail.com, and you will see in the description box the link to email us so that we can help you out. Okay, the email address. All right, now with that being said, let's go ahead and transition to the last component. I want you to see this quick video, which I've posted on this channel. But since I got you guys live, I want you guys to see it live. So I'm going to play this video. And you can see when it comes to KHM, we are a holistic ministry. We don't just teach. Like, we actually help fix the community and the issues and the problems. Like, that's what we're about. So there's so many facets to this ministry. Teaching is this probably 50% of it. The other 50% is the offline work that we do, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and share this video with you. You can see this quick video that I posted on the channel. And again, this can definitely help anybody. When I actually listened to and saw this testimony, it almost brought me to tears, right? Because I had a similar issue with my daughters. And it just really hit home, you know what I'm saying? And even me suffering with this ailment for years after getting it under control, it hits different, you know what I mean? So I want to go ahead and play it for y'all, and y'all can see for yourselves what I'm talking about. So here it is.
I wanted to give a quick testimonial of our experience with Naturopath to Eden, headed by Ron Shields. Our daughter was suffering with some very aggressive eczema, developed about 4 months after she was born. It started out with little rashes and then really progressed to some very aggressive, dry, scaly spots. Sometimes the whole skin was raw, and it was really discomforting to us as parents. Of course, we tried a lot of different products. What were some of the products we tried there?
We tried everything. We tried baths, we tried homemade remedies, we tried everything that was recommended to us. We tried changing our diet.
Vino, aquifers, and we knew that if, going to the doctor, our son had eczema as well. They just prescribed steroids and things that actually don't cure the issue or help it go away. It just suppresses the immune response. So I ran into Ron at a Shabbat gathering and asked him, because I saw his presentation on eczema a few years ago, and asked him about some help that we can receive for eczema. He recommended a cream and vitamin D probiotic drops that we administered as recommended, and we began to see immediate changes. Elena's skin was like night and day. We were definitely happy and comforted by the results. No complaints, and she's a much happier baby now. She used to always scratch, always irritated. Everything caused her eczema to flare up, and now it's a lot more comforting for us that she's not going through that same suffering.
Yeah.
All right. So what you just saw was a testimonial from our Naturopath to Eden program/service, where we provide free consultations to those who are experiencing ailments, diseases, and other health issues, and they want to get back to an Edenic, holistic body, right? Which incorporates the mind, the soul, and the spirit, right? And this was a couple that I've known for years. They told me that their daughter was suffering from eczema. So I seen them at a Shabbat service or a gathering that we had. And man, she had it really bad. It was all over her body. I didn't even know she had it because she was fully covered up. And I was like, and they told me, and I was like, well, let me see. And they showed it to me. It was horrible. I was like, look, I can't let y'all leave my presence without me helping in some way, right? So I gave them the free consultation and gave them a regimen plan. And now their daughter is, night and day. You saw from the pictures. It's really life changing. I mean, the quality of life for a child, let alone an adult as well, has improved greatly. Like, having eczema at such a young age affects you behaviorally, mentally, psychologically, and even affects your confidence and stuff like that. And again, I've suffered for it for 38 years. You know what I'm saying? I've suffered from eczema, so I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? And then, having two children out of my tribe, having it as well, you know what I'm saying? Having to work on them and get them in order. I know exactly what it's like. And to feel helpless that you can't help your child. You're trying all these natural remedies and going to the doctor and so forth, and you're not getting any results. And this child is just suffering, scratching every night to the point where they're bleeding and there's scabs. And I mean, it's a horrible quality of life, right? So what I wanted to do with that video when I put it together is just show you guys that, naturopathic eating is the real deal. There is a video that I did, a personal onboarding that I took 2 clips from and I shared on the Patreon. Then I'm going to put the full version out soon for those who are interested in it and show you the amount of work that we've done in the community. I mean, we have tons of testimonials and lives that we've changed. And, not only do we give you everything you need to know in the free consultation to do everything yourself, most people want us to help them, which, a lot of times we do need an accountability in order to stay on track with our health. And with our regimen plans, we have check-ins, right? We just check in with you to see how you're doing mentally, how you doing emotionally, how you doing spiritually, right? What are your stress factors? We don't even talk about the body. Like, we talk about the mind, because if you're stressed and your body's building up cortisol and other hormones, it's going to diminish the rate of return that you're seeking for investing in these regimen plans for your health. If you're not spiritually aligned with Yah, it's going to affect your health. If you're not mentally sound, it's going to affect your health. If you're not emotionally intact, it's going to affect your health. If you're dealing with stress factors every day, it's going to affect your health. So what our regimen plans, not only do we give you dietary recommendations, supplement recommendations, and some exercise recommendations, right? Because that's our trinity for resolving most ailments and diseases. We also do a check-in. And everything that we do is backed by peer-reviewed science. And we even supply you with the articles before we make any suggestions for anything and tell you exactly what it does and the science behind it that backs it. What we do is unique in this community. There's a lot of flakes and phonies and pseudos and people making profits and stuff off of health and don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Nothing that they're saying is backed by peer-reviewed science or anything like that. And when it comes to health, man, people's lives are on the line. And I know situations where people have died behind recommendations given to them by these individuals in the community saying that they're given a cure. We never use that word cure. That's a FDA regulated term. We never say cure because you cannot guarantee a cure. Everybody's situation is different. If somebody says that they have diabetes and you just treat the diabetes, but you're not looking at them holistically, what are their stress factors? What are they at mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? What other health ailments do they have that may impede the recommendation that you provide them, right? Are they taking medications? Because they are, the medication should not be mixed with certain suggestions or herbs and stuff like that. They don't take into account all of these things holistically, and people get worse in their health. People wonder why they're not getting better, and then some people actually suffer death. I know about 5 cases like that. 5 cases of people dying. We've never experienced that. We never tell anybody, stop going to your allopathic doctor. No, because the allopathic doctor has to confirm that what we're working with you with is legit. It's actually working to their surprise, right? So we never tell you to leave your allopathic or primary care physician. You always stay with them. And we work concurrently because when it comes to health care, the person responsible is not your doctor, it's you. And a lot of people don't want to take accountability for their health. They want to put it on somebody else. And that's being irresponsible. So we have done what's phrased in Christianity, the Lord's work when it comes to health. And we're going to continue doing it because this is the ministry that we have great people involved in with expertise in this field. And some people, they just learned it, right? They just had an interest, right? And they just want to learn it. You know, we do onboarding, we do training, we do continuing education classes, all of that. If you want to be a consultant and help people, if that's your ministry, you're called to help people via health, we have the platform that we can provide you to do so. And we even have advocate roles where we'll send you to different events and things going around, you know, in the health community to represent what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, whenever we are able to resolve a society ill, it's going to bring glory to Yah. And people are going to want to inquire more about who we are, and we have the opportunity to witness to them. See, with a little light shine, people can see the good works and draw them to the Father. All praise to the Most High. So I'm very proud of this program and the team that I have built around this program. We can always use additional resources and manpower, right? So if you're interested in, you know, getting a consultation and a regimen plan, email us down below, naturalpathtoeden@gmail.com. Or if you want to join our team, email us at naturalpathtoeden@gmail.com and we'll bring you on board. All right. But after watching that, if anybody in here has eczema, have children have eczema, family members or friends that have eczema, or know somebody has eczema, for you not to tell them that we have a solution for that, you just don't care about them. You don't have a heart, right? So why would you live with that on your conscience when you had the ability to recommend somebody to a place to help them and just chose not to? Would you want somebody to do that to you? They have some information that could be life altering and then just decide not to share it to you for whatever reason. Even your enemies. Because I tell you that all the time. I be having hecklers and I be having trolls and everything come up in here. And half of them be hitting me up asking me for help. Hey, Divine, I got credit issues. Can you help? Hey, Divine, I got a health issue. Can you help? Hey, Divine, I heard about your midwifery program. Can you help? Hey, Divine. Oh, really? I act like we don't even have any problems. And I said, sure, we're here to help. And out of that, 50% of the hecklers, 50% of them warm up and ease up. And once they get their issue resolved, then they see what the core of what KHM is about. We're a herald for the coming king, and we're preparing his people for his arrival. Therefore, it is dealing with all of our societal ills, because these things distract us and take us away from focusing on the king to come and setting up a community that is awaiting his presence and his arrival. So with that being said, all praise to the Most High. Last thing that I want to mention, because I know we in about an hour now, is that I recently had a debate called Did Jesus Pre-Exist? Right? So as you can see here on YouTube, I put a clip from the debate. I did the intro and the round one. I will be putting up the full debate on Patreon. So make sure you guys are signed up for the Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. You can watch the entire debate, which is interesting because we were supposed to have a crossfire round and my opponent tapped out. he tapped out. You know what I'm saying? It was a very informative lecture. However, I obviously was not afforded enough time to unpack a ton of information that I want to share on there. So what I'll probably do is I'll do a recap session on here after I release the full video, and we can go through it, right? Where I can show all my notes and sources and everything like that. Okay. But yeah, that was a very fascinating debate. And yeah, Jay the Vapor, right? So he was puffing vapor. I had told the mods at one point to only refer to me as the Surgeon General, and I was giving my opponent a warning if he continued to proceed to tread lightly. Right. So it was really crazy. It was really, really crazy. Right. But you know, at the end of the day, I think it was a great debate. No matter what side of the coin you on, you will learn something. All right. So check out the preview that I put up, and also sign up for the Patreon and get all the benefits of the Patreon. You can also sign up for free, which that debate will be on there for free. You can watch it for free, but definitely sign up so that way some of the stuff that I talk about, the sources are on there on the Patreon, and you got to get a paid tier to be able to access the sources, which is going to be worthwhile to your investment. We're almost at 1,000 posts on Patreon. All praise to the Most High. Almost at 1,000. Okay. So fire, more fire. All praise to the Most High. All right, so 2024, we're looking to get to the return. I think the height of our ministry was in 2021 during COVID, man. And especially at the end of 2020 when we was doing chapter launches and everything like that. I mean, we was killing it, right? And then COVID was over. Everybody went back to their normal lives. And then, 2023 had a new addition to the family and so forth. I picked up 2 jobs and things became very difficult and distracting. But 2024, I had purpose that, hey, we're coming back. And there's so much stuff we have planned just this quarter alone. You know what I'm saying? That we're going to be doing. KHM is back. If you want to sign up and join Patreon, right, and or KHM, the links is in the description below. Sign up for the KHM team and come aboard and help us, help the community, right? With all the things that we're learning here, we can turn into a plausible and a feasible solution for societal ills that we experience in our community, right? And or the Patreon. So that's the educational wing of KHM, and get deep into your studies and so forth, such as the classes we have coming up, the resources we have available, etc. Right? And then we have our subsidiaries like Jubilee Main Mission for credit repair and naturopathic eating for naturopathic health consultations and regimen plans. And then our Shifra and Poor Birthing Stool, which is our midwifery program. And, we have our children's app that's coming soon, right? We do KHM virtual homeschooling that we have renamed the Ezra Institute, right? I mean, everything you're looking for, we're attempting to be that one-stop shop, so there's no excuses. And one thing that I've noticed that when people come into this community, they're looking for resources and programs and services that we just don't have available. So I said, look, that has to stop with me. Like, I pray for Yah so it can be created, and he's like, nah, you do it. The reason why it's not there is because you have not done it yet. So I stopped asking him about stuff like that, and I just get it done. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yo, all praise to the Most High. All right, let's transition into the show. Thank you for bearing with me for about an hour as we go into announcements, updates, and all that other fun stuff. We're gonna get into the heart of the show, which is the Q&A, and then if anybody wants smoke, let me know. I'm gonna drop the link because I've seen a lot of people talking spicy and saucy in the comment section over the past month. And I always provide that opportunity every show for you to come and voice your grievances and get it in. All right. And again, this is not for anybody who does not have any grievances, right? What I'll be doing starting the next live stream is that I'll start opening up for panel discussions as well as smoke. So this one is just specifically for anybody that has smoke and disagree or have grievances with anything that we teach, anything that we're about, etc. Right? We will provide an amicable environment for us to have a mature adult conversation and try to reason together. And if it turns out to debate, let it be so. But I will not disrespect my guests, which I never have. And I will, do my best, like Paul says, to live peaceably with all men, right? As possibly as you can, right? All right. So, people talking about the rap. So in the debate, I didn't really take it serious. I took it like halfway serious, right? Because I didn't ask for the debate. The person decided they want to debate me. It's like, a prize fighter and somebody in his management team or his team was like, hey, let's go get a random Joe off the street that has boxed before and just throw him in the ring, just for fun, just to switch things up. And you're like, yeah, okay, prize fighter's like, all right, yo, send him in, I'll go ahead and spar with him. And then the guy comes in the ring and you see he has a good right hand and, he has a good shuffle and everything like that. But then you see the prize fighter just laughing like, this is like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like Sunday pie. This is easy, right? So in a debate like that, it was not even an even match, you know what I'm saying? But I entertained it, right, for the benefit of, the people that was watching the debate, not more so for my opponent, because he already had his mind, his conscience seared, but for those who was in the audience, right, who had something to gain from watching it. And I started off in my introduction with a rap. Yo, I put the lyrics in the description of that debate preview video. But you can check it out. I just started rapping. I had a whole 16 for that ninja, but I realized that if I did that, I wouldn't be able to get none of my introduction out. So I cut it off at 6 bars? I think I was at 6 bars in, and I just cut it. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, this is just some of the things I think about when Negroes say they want to debate DivineProspect. Where I get that from, for those of you who watch battle rap, good sometimes in some of his rounds, probably the second round, he normally starts off his battle with a rap that's unrelated to the actual debate. And he says, this is just some of the things I think about when you Negroes start to rap. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of took some of that, because the reason why I did that is because of the audience, right? The audience is our people, right? Who some are exposed to battle rap and that culture and so forth. And, you know, I wanted to make it entertaining, because otherwise it'd be boring. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you already hear two people debating and arguing, but to have a rap and throw it off like, oh, this is going to be entertaining. And then I ended it off with a pastor's eulogy. Yo, I tried to make it as informational and edutainment. Is it edutainment? I don't know if I say the rest of it, but the suffix. But I try to give education and entertainment at the same time, right? So that way it would be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because he just came out the gate just talking crap and, you know, just reading off scriptures. That's it. Like, he didn't really have any depth, right? He didn't have no personality. He had no swag. You know what I mean? So I had to come in there and like, all right, this is my first time on this platform. Let me bring the swag. You know what I mean? Let me do something that's unique and engaging, right? Because at the end of the day, people are not always going to remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel. So if you was able to entertain them and inform them, they will remember that, right? And that will drive them to the content that we produce. And from there, they can begin their journey anew, afresh, right? Like they just got baptized and came out the water. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? A spiritual mikvah. So that way they can now, with the new conscious, approach the Most High. All praise to the Most High, man. But yeah, it was, I don't know. And bait was bad. You know, there's gonna be obviously some hecklers, right? Especially people who have a theological bias and they side with Brother Jay, but they know that was not an even match. They know, like, yo, Divine, why'd you do that? And why'd you answer the questions that way? I did it strategically. Like, there's no death. And if I had the time to really go in, which I wanted to do with the crossfire, he already knew what time it was. He knew he wasn't going to survive the crossfire. He made an excuse. Oh, well, you know, I don't want to, because I guess he was thrown off. And my strategy worked, right? I did the rap in the intro and I did the eulogy at the end. And I guess that threw him off. Like, is he being serious? But I did give the 2 rounds in the middle. Like, I gave work, second and third round. I put that work in, right? And then in a little bit of time that I had, and then I did the eulogy. Like a Sunday pork chop eating pastor preaching, you know what I'm saying? Putting everybody in heaven when these ninjas was wicked as hell, because the pastor did not tell the family members that are parishioners of his flock or of his quote unquote ecclesial church the truth. Even if you have a Christian, there's a standard that you have to uphold. You can't put everybody in the sky. It don't work like that. They all go into Sheol. And in Sheol, there's a great divide between the wicked and righteous. And when that time comes, Yeshua is going to judge the sheep from the goats. And the goats are going into eternal fire to be destroyed and not enjoy the gift of eternal life. Annihilism is a doctrine that I do subscribe to. Some Orthodox Christians will call it heresy, but it's not. The text teaches that. Because if eternal life is a gift, how are you living eternally tormented and suffering if eternal life itself is a gift? This is why when Adam and Eve were put out the garden, they were guarding the tree of life that they already previously had access to. When I do this upcoming lecture called Divine Patronage, I'm going to address some of that, right? Here's 2 books. I don't want to mess the pages up. Pages. that I'm using. A great book if you want to get. It's called Biblical Worship Theology for God's Glory. Right? Excellent book. Yes, it has some Christian overtones to it, but don't let that deter you from the wealth of information that it has. I'm going back over this section on creation. I don't know, this camera is not focusing well. On creation, right, in the garden, showing you how the significance of the garden for biblical worship. I mean, this book is loaded with gems. And then I have this other book right here. It's called Patronage in Ancient Palestine and in the Hebrew Bible. And I'm going over the portion that's dealing with patronage in the ancient Near East and in comparative cultures, right? So this is just some of the stuff that I buy when I, before I do a lecture, even from my current library, or I add new material to my new library. All right. But yeah, back to that debate, man. I had a ton of stuff that I wanted to share. I didn't get a chance to share it. But when you go back and watch it again, go for the experience. You're going to hear Jay just, I don't know, just saying whatever he says, ask me some questions. And it was weird because, I didn't even write a Q&A. Yo, he had notes the whole time. I was freestyling on this ninja. I didn't even pull out the writtens for him. I made some notes prior. I read my notes just to refresh, and I just went in fresh. Like, he's reading notes. Like, you can hear him like scrambling for his notes to answer questions and not sure and all of that. And then I questioned like his mechanical understanding of the stuff he was presenting. He didn't even know what the heck he was talking about. He didn't know. I'm like, yo, how do you Christians say he won? Like, it was really bad. It really wasn't good. And he knew the crossfire, he was going to die. So he said, no, I don't want to do the crossfire round, because the crossfire round was 20 minutes of me and him go back and forth. Organic conversation, go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So that way, if he asked me a question, they would limit me to like a 2-minute response. I can't really get into it. But in a crossfire, we have 20 minutes to go at each other's throat. And he was not going to survive that, because I was going to pull out a lot of information that he is not aware of, right? That will blow his little mind, his little feeble mind, right? Because he asked for this. You can't ask for a fight with Mayweather, then get in the ring with Mayweather. You got a little fight in you, right? And then Mayweather decides that day he's just gonna pound on you, pause, and just beat you the hell up, and then get mad that Mayweather beat the person up. It's a fight. How you gonna be mad at him for beating him up? It's a fight. Yo, when we had the post room, everybody was saying that, like, yo, Divine, why'd you have to get so mechanical and so intricate? I'm like, yo, that's how I debate. He knew what he was getting himself into. You're gonna allow somebody who told me last year they just started using a lexicon. Yo, this dude said he just started using a lexicon last year. I've been using a lexicon for what? 12 years now? No, more than 12 years. I'm tripping. 14 years. I've been using a lexicon for 14 years. 2008. Wow. Man, I'm losing track of time. I've been using a lexicon since 2008. The second half of 2008 is when I first started using a lexicon, until 2024. And then you have somebody that just started using a lexicon last year, and we're supposed to have an evenly matched debate. You expect me to take this seriously? Yo, they really expected me to take that debate seriously? And then when I clown him with the rap, I'm into it. Yah and the word, that's synergy. The same Greek word that Paul used literally. Your Trinity doctrine is also finicky, the result of outside parasites, dysentery. You know what dysentery is? Dysentery is a abdominal disease, a GI tract disease. That's the result of outside parasites getting into your system and disrupting the homeostatic properties of the organs and cells that's operating it. Dysentery. Greek philosophers spying out Paul's teachings. That's what I said. Greek philosophers spying out Paul's teachings. They convert and complicate Jesus. That's called treason. You'll be the reason why the church is in a fall season. The word is divine steak. You can't eat because you all teething. Yo, I had a full 16 ready for this ninja, man. But then I had to realize it's not battle rap. I was going to put my whole presentation in a rap. That would have been real crazy. That would have been real crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going to put it in a rap. Yeah, because I used to be a rapper back in the day. I had a deal and all of that. Went sour, right? It was me and my crew. We called the Starting Five, right? We put out a whole studio album, and I was going to be the first one to leave the group and start a solo album and all of that. Very fascinating. I had tons of raps back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And then over the years, y'all took that gift from me because he wanted me to focus on a different ministry, which was teaching and outreach and all of that. So I did that, right? But I was like, yo, I'm gonna get back to rap, man, because there's a lot of people in the Israelite truth music that make music that say, yo, Divine, I heard you rap. I'm like, yeah, I rap, it's all right. Yeah, saying like even for that, like that was like I freestyle some of that. I just wrote randomly. I was like, let me just write this. It sounds good. Right. And then I did the other 8 was actually a real written, like the final 8 to like really knock him out I was getting to that. I was 6 bars in. I was getting to that. I was like, I gotta stop, right? Because I won't waste my whole time on these 2 minutes. But yeah, so the word is divine steak. You can't eat because you all teething. When you teething, that means you're a baby. That means you can't eat meat. That means you're still on milk, like Hebrews chapter 5. Yo, the result of outside parasites, dysentery, Greek philosophers spying out Paul's teachings. They convert and complicate Jesus. That's called treason. You'll be the reason why the church is in the fall season, right? People are dropping like leaves from the church because complicating the gospel, complicating Yeshua, complicating the scripture. Why are they complicating it? Trinity complicates things. Pre-existence complicates things. If you believe in that, that's your prerogative. But I'm saying that adds an extra layer of sophistication that is unnecessary. What I was trying to prove is that you don't need the Trinity or pre-existence to explain the text. So next time I do a debate like that, I'm just going to rap all my rounds, my intro, second, third, and I'm just going to rap. I'm like, yo, I'm going to just rap because, we got 2 minutes intro, 2 minutes outro. That's 4 minutes. Then you have 10 minutes in between for the 2 rounds. That's 20, 24 minutes for me to just rap. I'm going to write a whole rap. And I'm gonna put everything, all the content in the rap is gonna deal with the topic. I'm just gonna rap because it's those type of people that want to debate me, people who are not prepared. So why would I even waste my time writing something like a real debate? You write a paper and you submit it, but I would just rap 24 minutes. I'll just rap, and you go back to the rap and you're like, oh shoot, like, oh, because the Trinity. I break it down a little bit more. So I'm in tune with Yah and the word. That's synergy. The same Greek word that Paul used literally. What that is saying is that the Trinity is not in scripture. So when I'm in tune with Yah and the word, synergy is a word that Paul uses in Romans chapter 8. Synergios. That's the word he uses. And what that means is that all things work together. All things are synergy. And that's important because a lot of people think this walk is just supposed to be about good times. And it's not. This is not a television sitcom. Life is about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But each one of these parts individually, right, must be put together to equate the sum of all parts. And that sum is what makes your purpose. So, for example, right, with naturopathic eating, which I showed you guys earlier, I suffered from eczema. And then I had children who suffered from eczema. That's a bad thing. And when I had eczema, it was really bad. And still once in a while, I do still get flare-ups, right? But I have it under control, right? I had to go through that suffering. I had to be in a low state at a bad time with me and my children in order for me to create a solution so that other people wouldn't have to go through it. The text says that Christ suffered for us. Do you understand that? He suffered for us. So that being that Passover lamb allows us to skip over the second death. So he suffered for us. So the key thing is, in order for you to have purpose, let's get into that scripture real quick. Let me read that. Let's read that real quick. Let's get into scripture. We say, Divine, you talking too much, man. You're not getting. Let's get into scripture real quick. I'm gonna show you this in the Bible. Okay. All right. Where we at? Where are we at? All right. right, let me pull it up. Romans 8. There we go. Make sure you guys are hitting the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up so we can get the algorithm to share with y'all when we go live, when we post content, all right? And also share the video on all your social media platforms so we can get more people in here getting this message, right? And you're right, Kohim. It is a message, right? So the text says, likewise. Well, let's zoom in. Making sure we can see that. All right, let's go down. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. And he who searches hearts knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of the Most High. And we know that for those who love Yah, see, let's look at something real quick, right? Let me show you something real quick. All right. Let's go to Exodus chapter 34 real quick. I'm going to get back to this real quick. I'm going to show you Exodus chapter 34. All right. Exodus 34. Let's come down. And it says here, verse 6. Yahweh, Yah, pass before him and proclaim, Yah, a power merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in what? Abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, and keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children to the third and the fourth generation. So you are that generational gap that is a curse breaker. You are a curse breaker. Being a curse breaker means you decide that you're going to stand up and say, it's going to stop with me. Because Yah, maybe that generation, you may be that generation that he's about to visit. And when he goes to visit, he's going to see, do these people love me? Are they obeying my commandments? Have they accepted my son? He's coming to see that. And it might be your generation. So what are you going to do when he visits? You can say, why is all this stuff happening to me? Because he's visiting that iniquity from your great-grandfather, great-grandmother. And now that's been placed onto you. What are you going to do? Are you going to be a curse breaker? Are you going to be a liberator? Are your children going to have to suffer because you decided not to stand in the gap for them? So let's see this. Like, let's get further into this, right? Numbers chapter 14, verse 18. It says here, Yah is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. Please pardon the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have forgiven this people from Egypt until now. Moses interceded. And sometimes we have to do that for our children. We wonder why our children acting crazy and acting up. It's because you decided not to break the curse. That curse came from you and it's going down to them and your grandchildren. And it came all the way back from your great-grandparents. And you decide that I'm not going to follow his commandments. You decide I'm not going to learn how to live this thing out like Yeshua. You decide I don't need that. And then all of a sudden you got kids that are acting crazy because when Yah comes to visit, when he comes to see, he comes down to see what you're doing. He's going to visit his people. He's coming to see. Where's my intercessors at? Where they at? Where the curse breakers at? He's coming to see. So it's our response that shows our love when we become obedient, which is greater than sacrifice. When we say, yeah, I'm an empty vessel, fill me. Give me your word. Give me your ways. Give me your mind. Use my hand and my feet and my mouth to accomplish your will, Yah. Are we offering ourselves as a living sacrifice? That's the only way transformation can take place. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Are we doing that? Are we allowing him to take out the heart of stone and giving us a heart of flesh and putting his law in our hearts and our minds? And being able to accept the martyrdom of his son, who has paved the path for us to follow. He taught us the way. Let's get back to Romans. And it says here, and he searches hearts. He who searches hearts knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of Most High. And we know that for those who love him, all things work together for good. See that? And it says, some manuscripts say, God works all things together for good, or God works in all things for good. You see that? He works in all things for good. Let's get into that. And we're going to see that only applies for those who are called according to his purpose. Let's get that. It's the word, right? Here's the word right here. Synergai. Works together. Let's go back. Panta precedes it, meaning all things. Synergeo, which means to cooperate with, work together. Are you working in alignment and in cooperation with the will of Yah? Or are you doing your own will? And you get mad when things happen. See, things are going to happen. The scripture says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Things are supposed to happen. But when you get to the point of acceptance, you know that it's part of a purpose. Your purpose can't come from only good things happening. I'm going to tell you right now, because if that's the only thing that you look forward to, you ain't living your purpose. And you're not going to experience the full love of the Most High. You got to go through it. And that's how you know you got a solid relationship, when you go through it. Some people, they get in this truth, they face hard times, and they out. And I tell them, where you going? You can't run from yourself. You got to confront it head on. Learn acceptance. Understand this synergio. What is this synergy? The sum of all parts is greater than each individual part. You can't have good without the bad. You can't have bad without the ugly. You can't have ugly without the good. But they all work together. Only for those who are calling according to his purpose. What is Yah's purpose? Once you find out what his purpose, you get in alignment with it, and everything will work out together for the good. But that may include suffering, persecution. That may include sickness and ailments. That may include rejection. And that also may include good times, a raise at work, and people respecting your knowledge and your wisdom, and you praying and getting things answered and done. A lot of y'all don't want to live holistically in this word. Some of y'all even praying for people that Yah told you don't pray for, because you're stopping the judgment that needs to happen for them to come to Yah. Okay. All right. Let me stop. Just wanted to give y'all something. All praise to the Most High. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So with that being said, family, right? Just want to transition. I always want to give y'all a word, because some people don't think that I use the word, which is crazy, because even in that debate, Jay said, oh, he's not going to use the Bible. And that's all I did was use the Bible. I didn't even pull out the scholarly sources or anything like that. We went into a lot of things. The methodology works inductively. So you have two different ways you can reason: deductively or inductively. If a person is being objective, they're going to reason inductively. If they're going to deal subjectively with you. They're going to reason deductively. What is the difference? Deductively means you already have a premise in mind and you go down to prove it. Inductively means you have no premise in mind, but you work from the ground up. You work from the ground towards a premise. So what's the best way to study the text? And I explained it. The best way to study the text is you start with the simplest grammatical sentence, which is a clause. You start with the clause, you parse out the language of the clause and find out what's going on grammatically. Once you're able to understand that, then you look at the other clauses syntax to it in the same passage. And then you also do the same to those successive clauses. And then you say, okay, what word in here is interesting? Like when I do Bible study with my family, like when we do Shabbat studies, I always tell them, find a word that stands out. What word? They read about 8 to 10 passages, right? When we go through a chapter, hey, look for a word that stands out the most. Go and find out what that word means in its original language and find out how that word is conjugated to fit within the syntax of that clause. How is it affecting the actual grammar within that clause? Because things can be simply resolved just by getting into the language. Or if you're not there with the language yet, just doing word studies. Right? Which is the tip of the iceberg, but that's a beginning. And then from there, if you still can't figure it out, then you see how that one passage interacts in the context with the preceding passages and the successive passages. If you still can't get it from there, then you read the entire chapter. If you still can't get it from there, then you read the entire book. If you still can't get it from there, then you got to do this. Hold on 1 second. Then you got to get you some surveys that will give you the background to the actual author and the book, like the date in which it was written, which is very important because there are historical things happening, political things happen, social things happen, economic things happen, religious things happening. There's other cultures that live and surround that individual. Looking at topography and geography by going to an atlas and finding out where this is taking place and how that environment has a bearing on the actual author and the things that he's saying. Who is his immediate recipient audience that he is speaking to, right? And why is he writing it? What is the condition of the people, right? All of that stuff you need. So you need that background information. So once you get that on the book that you read and you still can't get enough, then if that same author has written other books, then you go to the other books that the author read and look for intertextuality. You look for themes and motifs within that passage that you're analyzing elsewhere written by the same author who would more than likely use the same language and get a bigger scope for what's happening and seeing how it scales over time and through other works. And then from there, if you still don't get enough, you expand your spectrum of intertextuality and look for other authors who write about the same theme or a similar message. This is why one good source is called the Treasury of Scriptural Knowledge, which is designed to teach you intertextual connections between the passage that you're looking at and other passages that are related. Looking for relationships between passages. You work with that. From there, if you still don't get your answer after doing all of that, then what you have to do is do a comparative cultural analysis. Look at other sister cultures and pull out information that is relative and that is equivalent and deduce from there using the Bible and those sister cultures a common denominator that will then unveil more understanding. A good example of that is going through the Ugaritic text, which has helped to resolve some of the glosses that exist in the Psalms and the Hebrew Tanakh. I'll probably do a study on that, right? Hey, if you sign up for the Patreon at the $50 level, to get the classes, you also get access to free Ugaritic courses. And you can see these things and learn the language at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So when you do that, that will also help to unlock certain things. Now, if you looked at the lecture that I did, the Shechem and Dinah lecture, I use these techniques. Then from there, you do a comparative textual analysis with other manuscripts to see if there are variants. Variants will help you to see, other takes on that particular passage in other manuscript families or text types that are also primary texts that go back to the same stream or the original source as the text that you're reading. So you may be looking at the Neso Alon 28 or the Biblica Hebraica Stuttgartensia. I always mess that up. The BHS, and there are other manuscripts outside of that that have variants that will give additional insight. Then from there, you get to look at other texts like the Targum, right? Which is a paraphrasing that may capture some of that information or data. Then from there, if that's still not enough, then you may look at historical commentary that we have that may exist on these passages for additional insight. Then from there, if that's not enough, then you go to scholarly sources where modern day scholars have written extensively on this particular passage, that particular chapter, that particular author, that particular event, etc. And then with all of this information, you come right back full circle with that problem question that led you, to that particular research, path from looking at that passage. And then with all that existential data and internal data, you're able to deduce the lowest common denominator and the most common constituents that give you the interpretive corrective lens in order to see what's going on in that passage. When we have our classes, I'm going to teach you how to do all of that. When those of you who watched the Shechem and Dina lecture, you saw a master class of this in action, a whole master class. The debate that I just had, that wasn't a master class because I didn't even get an attempt to even get into the meat and potatoes, but that was a surface level master class, right? On how to handle things on the fly without notes. And you'll get so good at this that you can just keep everything up here. You won't even have to write nothing down. Right? Every time somebody give you, hey, what do you think this means? What do I think this means? No. Let's take an objective approach to discern what it is, what it does mean, and what it is telling us. Now, granted, there are some things that are disputed amongst scholars and academics, right? Some ambiguous, etc. I'm not going to say you're not going to encounter that. So sometimes you may come across a passage where there is really no full understanding. You can come to your own consensus and lean either way, right? But it is ambiguous and or it's a debated topic. When that happens, it's good to see both sides or all sides, right? To understand that, which will over time, as more data is released in regards to that particular subject matter, you get additional insight so it can drive you to what you're supposed to see. Now, some people say, well, Divine, why you need to do all that? All I need is a spirit. You say that, but then if you have the spirit, he has the spirit, he has the spirit, then why you all have a different interpretation of the same passage? Especially one that is not even disputed among scholars. It's like clearly understood when you do this type of research, but all y'all got the spirit, but all y'all got different interpretation. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to have a different interpretation or perspective sometimes, but there should be an objective foundation that is easily established through this methodology before you come to your own personal subjective interpretation. And I'm not talking about your modern life application interpretation. I'm talking about based on what it meant to the author at that time speaking to his immediate audience. Once that's laid out, which is foundational, then the relational part is the mapping you do with how that equates to today, and then how can I apply this and yield the same results that author yielded at that time. This is a whole science. I'm giving to y'all for $50 a month. This college course is well over $800 to $1,200 to $1,500 per semester that you have taken a seminary or university just to get this information. And I said, I'm not going to overcharge people. I want this to be accessible to everybody as much as possible. Matter of fact, if you can't even afford the $50, that Natural Path to Eden and Julie May Mission, you can just do referrals from that. And from those referrals, it'll pay for your $50 just to get in the class. That means you didn't have to come out your pocket for anything. And or you could become a consultant and then make money that way. We provide you opportunities to make money within the ministry, so there's no excuse to invest in other parts of the ministry. So that way the funds are there so we can continue to have events. It subsidizes and offsets these events, which are very expensive, especially when we do chapter launches. We give you free food. And we got to pay for everything. Everybody thinks ministry is free. No, salvation is free. Ministry costs. And I went over this before in the words of Paul and Yeshua, that when you do ministry, you cannot muzzle the ox as it treads the grain. The ox is allowed to eat some of that food because it's doing the work. And if it's not allowed to eat the food, it's not getting the calories it needs to do the work. This is important. So when we get into this study, I'm going to give it to you at a layman's level, this deep knowledge and stuff that's locked away from our people, because there's gatekeepers that's there. So I spent time going to these conferences around these gatekeepers. Ain't no P. Diddy parties. I ain't been to no partying like that. I don't party with these dudes. So once the sun hits, I'm out back to my hotel room or whatever. I don't do the partying with them. I don't do all of that. I'm just there to be the spook that sat by the door. Find out the methodology. What do these pastors be using that be going to seminary school and all of this stuff? Because after some point, you're not going to need them anymore. And I'm okay if you outgrow me, because you've gotten everything you need from us. That's the point. And I tell people all the time that you're going to outgrow your environment. You're going to outgrow the congregation you're at, the church you're at, the group of people around, your family, your friends. It's okay to outgrow them. Everybody's not going to get this message. But when you outgrow, you need to be transplanted. You can't stay in a pot that's too shallow for your growth, because you're not going to bloom. There are some plants that never bloom into flowers because their pots are too shallow. They've absorbed all the nutrients out of the soil. They need to be transplanted. And some of y'all, when you get this understanding, will need to be transplanted, because you're going to outgrow. Outgrowth don't mean you hate where you was at, because you needed that at one point in time to get you to where you're going, right? And it's okay to be on that journey. And it's okay to go back and revisit that old pot, because it may still be useful for a new seed, just not you. Don't burn bridges if you don't have to. Don't turn your back on people if you don't have to. If you outgrow it, it's fine. Let them know. But also let them know that your outgrowth is not because you're better than them. It's because now you're in a season where you have to be transplanted. And in some plants, or those of you who deal with gardening and stuff like that, know that you have to transplant certain things in certain seasons so they can survive the successive seasons and where they don't produce any fruit or any yield. You see behind me? Look at this. I'm going to show you behind me. See that behind me? Look at all that lettuce that I'm growing right there. See that? That's all red and green leaf lettuce that I'm growing right behind me. Look at that. After a while, they need to be transplanted. The first few yields is good, but I got to transplant them after that, because they will outgrow what I have them in currently. So life will teach you these things, man. Life will teach you these things. And when you outgrow, no need for bitterness. If your outgrowth produces bitterness, then you're not really outgrowing. What's really happening is there's a sentiment that you have, and it's really just coming out of your pores, oozing out of your pores. When you outgrow, Yah will let you know. You will feel a degree of uncomfortability to the point where it's unsustainable and you have to move forward. Some people say, how do I know when to leave my job? How to leave this congregation? Yah will let you know. He'll give you a season of uncomfortability where your spirit is not settled, where you will have no shalom until you move forward. Sometimes some of y'all want to know when to start your own ministry. When that degree of uncomfortability comes and you feel overwhelmed when you're in a current state and you know something has to change, that's the time to wake up and move. Okay. All right. Maybe I said too much. I don't know. Sometimes it's not all about the deep stuff. It's to teach you how to live this life. All praise to the Most High. All right. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that. King Love. I appreciate that. Thank you, Derek Kimball, for the donation. Thank you, Inkpen27 for the donation. And thank you, Olawale. I think I'm saying that correctly. As well. You said, peace, sir. Why do some brothers say you, Mr. Divine, don't have the spirit? And please give me your thoughts on the book Moses and Monotheism by Sigmund. All right. So people say I don't have the spirit because they misinterpret what I teach. For example, I teach you how to look at the text objectively, because none of us lived at that time period. We didn't live in that time period. We were not the immediate audience to the text who was written to. So we have to use tools to get us back almost like a time capsule to be able to see exactly, plain and clear, what was occurring at that time. Put ourselves in the shoes of that author and or that recipient audience. And sometimes you have to use certain techniques in order to get to that point. All right. Now, in regards to Moses and monotheism by Sigmund, Moses did not create monotheism. Monotheism has nothing to do with Moses, nothing to do with Akhenaten, nothing to do with any of that. Monotheism was created in the post-exilic period. It started with Zerubbabel, and it reached its height in the successive years after Ezra and Nehemiah. That's when monotheism was created, and that's when the text was redacted to reflect monotheism. But the original text never taught monotheism, it taught henotheism. Henotheism is what the text teaches, and monolatrism. So what do these terms mean? Henotheism, which means that there's multiple deities, but there's one supreme out of all the deities. Multiple deities exist, have an ontology, but there's only one supreme deity. Monolatrism, which means even though that there are other powers out there, you choose to only worship and acknowledge one power. The other ones are just peripheral. So that is what the pre-exilic Israelite text teaches. And then it was redacted to reflect what we call monotheism. And Judaism, when it came about during the pre-exilic period, when the Israelites were in late Babylon, early Persian period, they developed their own religion. Hey, you want a source for that? Let me give you a source for that. Hold on 1 second, because you know that's what we do here. I don't just talk, I give you sources, right? And it's crazy that people say that I don't got the spirit. I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that means you ain't really studied my work. You know, I have stuff on here that I've done that's not just deep academic scholarly stuff, like this stuff that's just like regular sermons that I've done and lectures that I've done and Sabbath messages that I've done. Like those people who say that haven't saw any of that stuff. The spirit is all in, up, and down throughout that. The spirit is being able to apply the stuff that you're learning and apply it, and you yield the same results that they did at that time. If you're not, then how do you have the spirit? Okay. All right. I'm going to show you this real quick, right? Here's a book. It's called Household and Family Religion in Persian period Judah. Okay. We drop this in the chat for those of you interested in that. And again, if you want to read over 500 books, sign up for the Patreon and get access to over 500 books that I have on there. I'm trying to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. Y'all willing? We'll see how that goes. But we have books, we have Bible software, we have audio Bibles on there. I have my own exclusive video content. I got my academic blogs on there. We have all types of stuff on there. Almost 1,000 posts on our Patreon. And you will get an immediate return on your investment once you sign up with all the wealth of knowledge and information and insight that is on that channel. Right? So there's the link right there. You can check it out for yourselves. All right? So hopefully I answered your question, my brother. All right? All right, so that I can take a few questions. And again, let me throw this link one more time. Anybody that want to smoke, you know, who says, Divine, you ain't got the spirit, let's have a conversation about that. Or if you disagree with what I'm saying or whatever, hey, I always give you an opportunity to voice your grievances, right? Amicably as mature adults, okay? If you want to take it there and debate, we could do that. Whatever you want to do, I'm with it. But what you're not going to do is disrespect me, my audience, or your own self by looking like a fool. We're not going to do that. All right. And it makes no sense arguing with the fool because nobody's going to know who's the real fool. You have to apply wisdom. Answer a fool, colon says folly. Answer not a fool, colon says folly. How do you know when to do which one? Is that contradictory? No, it's called wisdom. You got to discern and know when to answer a fool, colon says folly, and when not to. If there's people around, sometimes you shouldn't say nothing to the fool. Let him act the fool. Because there's a difference. A fool just has to say something. A wise man speaks because he has something to say, but a fool speaks because he just has to say something. Understand the difference. I'll be dropping jewels on y'all, man. I don't know if y'all picking them joints up, but it's okay. It's all right. This video is here for somebody. All right. All right. So let me get through some of the questions, and I'm gonna do another 10-15 minutes of questions, and I'm tapping out. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Yes, sir. I wholly agree with that. I agree with that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so Ben Cole, I've heard about April 8th. I have no clue. I haven't looked into it to even know why people keep mentioning that date and why I see it all over social media. But if you have a link, share with me and I'll definitely take a look at it and see what that's about, okay? But yeah, but April 8th is Passover, just so you know. So that could be an omen. Just saying. Just saying. All right, let's see. Yeah, I don't I don't intend to do that. My job is to get you to a certain point, and then you have to decide where to go in a fork in the road, right? I'm your guide. We hit a fork in the road where everything we learned on that journey, I give it to you and say, okay, you choose. Know what to look for as far as landscape is concerned, landmarks are concerned, the road is concerned, and then you make the decision with the information that was given to you. What's the best direction to go? You know, I don't handhold. I try not to do that if I can avoid it. I get you to a certain point and you've learned everything up to that point. Now you have everything you need to continue on to your journey. And guess what? Yah is the ultimate guide. So he'll be the light unto your feet, the lamp unto your feet, and the light unto your path. All praise to the Most High. All right. All right, let me see. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Salvation is free, but ministry is expensive. Mary Ann Edili, you are absolutely correct on that. And I use that phrase all the time. People don't realize that, but I mean, it's what it is. They'll learn one day if they ever have a ministry. They'll learn. They will learn. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it, Cohen. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Can you explain the Christ in the Old Testament stuff? Example 22:16. Sure. All right. So let me see. You said Psalm 22. Yes. I've done this before, but I'll do it again. No problem. All right. So let me show this to you, right? In biblical scholarship, I'm going to show you where things currently sit in regards to this Psalm 22:16. Okay. So let me get that real quick, and then I'm gonna see what else, whatever else is out there. All right, 1 second. Okay. This is the Net Bible. This is the actual Bible that I have right here. Now, there is some theological bias in the footnotes of the Net Bible. However, the times when there is no theological bias, it is superb. And we're going to get into some of that real quick. But yes, I recommend you get the Net Bible with the full notes edition. Everybody should have this Bible, and they should have this Bible. You should have both of these Bibles, the Cultural Background Study Bible and the Net Bible, the full notes edition. Okay. Highly recommend it. Do not go through the scriptures without one of those Bibles. Okay. All right. So here, as you see on the screen, we're going to read it. All right. Again, everything needs to be taken within its historical context first. Okay. Excuse me, my throat got a little dry. And it says, the roof of my mouth is as dry as a piece of pottery. My tongue sticks to my gums. You set me in the dust of death. Yes, wild dogs surround me. A gang of evil men crowd around me. Like a lion, they pin my hands and feet. I can count all my bones. My enemies are gloating over me in triumph. They are dividing my clothes amongst themselves. They are rolling dice for my garments. But you, Yah, do not remain far away. You are my source of strength. Hurry and help me. Deliver me from the sword, right? Save my life from the claws of the wild dogs. And look at this, verse 21. Rescue me from the mouth of the lion and from the horns of the wild oxen. See, this is a great question to ask when we have our classes, because once I teach you the methodology, we're going to pick scriptures and we're going to use the methodology and apply it on the scripture. And one of the things we're going to do is see if we all come to the same conclusion. That's going to be the fun part of this class. I mean, it's going to be extremely fun, right? But you just got to read the context, right? To give you more insight and information into single passages that are proof texts or cherry picked by people to say, oh, this means this and this means. Read the entire context. And again, I'm going to teach you how to reason inductively, right? So, and if you go back and watch that debate that I did with Jay in my intro after I rapped, I laid out for you my methodology, right? And that's what we're going to go over briefly in Tuesday's class coming up. So make sure you sign up for Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. Don't miss that, okay? We only got 35 slots left. Probably less now since we went live, because I've seen a couple of notifications that some people already signed up, all right? So here, yes, wild dogs surround me. So anytime you use this online Bible, which you can also see the same thing in the actual physical Bible, right? Psalm 22. Verse 16. See, this is the main text, and surrounded it is all the footnotes, right? So online, it makes it easier to get there, but I always have online, a abstract and a immaterial material, right? So verse 16 says, yes, and there's a footnote 37 here, and it says, or for, yes, for wild dogs surround me. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I think that's my daughter. Hold on 1 second. So it says 4. Now let's keep reading. We're going to read footnote 38, which is very important. Okay. Let's get it. Footnote 38. Footnote 38, when we click on it, where it says, like a lion, they pin my hands and feet. The Masoretic text reads, like a lion, my hands and my feet. The reading is difficult and the ancient versions vary, so the textual difficulty is probably very early. Without a verb, the syntax appears broken and the role of hands and feet is unclear. One option is to understand the verb of the previous line to apply again, a poetic technique called ellipsis and double duty. But my hands and feet would be an odd object for a verb meaning they encircled. Otherwise, the broken syntax may represent the emotional outcry of the psalmist, which we see in the context, first mentioning the lion as part of the third-person description, but suddenly shifting to the first-person perspective and crying out as the lion attacks, pinning down his hands and feet, a scene depicted in ancient Near Eastern art. When we do our studies, we're going to look at everything, the verb, the grammar, these terms called ellipses, Near Eastern art and archaeology and sister cultures and tablets. We're going to look at everything. You can't interpret it just by language alone. You can't interpret it with just by archaeology alone. You can't interpret it just by reading the English translation alone. You need holistic research. And that paradigm creates the best approach to do Bible studies. But this development seems late textually. All the other witnesses have a verb instead of like a lion. The LXX says they dug my hands and feet. The verb oruso means to burrow in the ground, to dig. A Qumran witness seems to read similarly. They dug. Instead of the Masoretic text, ker'ari, like a lion, the scroll from the Chal Hever has a verb form ka'aru, ending with vav instead of yod. Supposing that the aleph is superfluous, spelling variant, the form would be understood as karu from the root kara, meaning they dug. In that case, the Qumran scroll and the LXX agree because kara is one of the two verbs translated in the LXX by oruso. But as both these verbs mean to dig in the dirt, this has not helped us understand the context. Assuming that the enemies are still the subject, we might expect they dug a pit for my hands and feet. In fact, the Hebrew words behind they dug a pit look similar, which is karu, bor. So it is not hard to imagine that one of these two would be overlooked by a scribe and dropped from the text. Some suppose that to dig in the ground means to pierce in reference to hands and feet, possibly from the root core. Other variants and suggestions include they bound or they picked clean, ara, to pluck my hands and feet, or my hands and feet are consumed or worn out. The latter two assume a copy and error of resh for lamed, making the verb come from kala. And this tells you the source from it. Opts that this last, but also cites Syriac and Akkadian for additional root KRH, meaning to be shrunken, shriveled. The Akkadian root karu is said of body parts that can refer to paralysis, which is the kind of metaphor which occurs in battle context elsewhere, Psalm 76:5. It would be very natural to read my hands and my feet as the subject of the verb because verb subject is typical word order. There is no decisive answer to the problem. NET translation includes the lion imagery, as you see in verse 13, as opposed to the verb that conveys an attack. Not only verse 13, but what we read further down. But let's read verse 13. They open their mouths to devour me like a roaring lion that rips its prey. And then when you go down further, right, it says, rescue me from the mouth. So the lion ripping its prey and the lion eating the prey. So first it rips the prey, then it pins the prey, then it eats the prey. You see that? This has nothing to do with Christians interpreting it to be something about they encircled me. Now, I'm going to say this. In other manuscripts, there's ambiguity there. But as you can see, even with all this information, the Net Bible translators who are Trinitarian Orthodox Christians decided to go with the more historical rendering because it aligns with the context of the chapter, which is being attacked by your enemies like a lion attacking its prey. But in our classes, we'll go over all of these details and techniques and approaches so you can see the full picture of what's going on in these difficult passages. So I think that was an excellent question. And my position is I agree with the translation as they have it in the Net Bible. That is the best way within the context to interpret that text. Now, how can that refer to Yeshua? If it refers to Yeshua, is that Yeshua using typology? David is an archetype, and he's from that archetype. He's a son of God like David. He's from royal bloodline like David. And therefore, the same way that the enemies of death and sin and the Jews who persecuted him did this to him, David has similar enemies do it to him. There's nothing new under the sun. David's son Solomon understood that from learning about the history of his dad. There's nothing new under the sun. So you don't have to interpret it outside of its context just to make it fit Yeshua. You can apply the technique that I utilize called a qualitative attribute. Qualitative attribution is the approach that the New Testament authors are taking when they're dealing with the Tanakh or Old Testament. Why? Because Jesus says that the scripture cannot be broken, which means you can't say, oh, well, there was some kind of, vision or some kind of trance or something that the author went into for a second when he was uttering a messianic reference and then he transitioned back to the context. That sounds ridiculous. That's not what's happening. He is speaking to an immediate audience, and sometimes that immediate audience could be the Most High within a historical context based on things that have happened politically, socially, economically, and religiously to the actual author. So we must read it within that context. And then now we want to make comparisons to Yeshua. We can say because it happened to his forefather David, who was the archetype, it's going to happen to everybody in that bloodline, especially one that is promised or prophesied to sit on the throne of David, as we see in Acts chapter 2, which is spoken by Cephas and or Peter. So hopefully that begins to give you some insight on how this passage should be handled in light of scholarship, in light of context, in light of intertextuality, in light of comparative cultural analysis. It's important. And the same approach that these scholars use to make that footnote, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to reveal the trade secret. And you're going to get more than your money's worth. And all I ask is that you get the word out that this class is about to start, the flyers on all my social media handles, and share it on yours and get more people involved. Because the more people that can learn this technique, the more common ground we stand on and the more that we can build community. And the faster we build a community, the more autonomy that we can possess, which is self-governance, so we can prepare ourselves as the bride for the soon coming king. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, I'm gonna answer one more. I like that. That's good, Jordan. Jordan has great insight. That's good. That's good. I like that. All right. Cohen, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. All right, so I'm gonna read what you have, Talmud, and then I'm gonna address what Dan says, and we're gonna close out. Okay, so this is not too long. All right, so Talmud says, you think the rabbinic tradition is valid, or is it a later version of what some would call the proto-rabbinic traditions of the Pharisees and Sadducees? All right, so the rabbinic tradition starts with Ezra and Nehemiah, right? Now, let me give you a book reference for that. Again, everything is on the Patreon. Every book that I show you is on Patreon, plus hundreds of other books. All right. So let me give you a book dealing with that. Okay. That's a great question. Where did this oral tradition, or what we call rabbinic tradition, because remember, rabbis didn't exist prior to 70 AD. When the temple was here, there was no such thing as a rabbi. Look it up. This is common knowledge for people who study Judaism. Rabbis are a term that developed after the destruction of the temple. Prior to that, there's no such thing as rabbi. So when you see it in the New Testament, this is called anachronism, because the audience who is being written to is after the destruction of the temple, and therefore Yeshua would have been considered or addressed in the term rabbi from their modern understanding, but they would have used a similar term like more or teacher or master or Adonai or something along that that's more historical, right? Okay. So I'm going to give you a source so you can learn about Judaism, right? I'm going to give you 3 books, right? This is the first book. It's called Introduction to Second Temple Judaism, right? Here's the first book. It's free game, right? That's the first book, right? The second book is called The Search for the Origins of Judaism from Joshua to the Mishnah. This is the second book. Right? And the last book here, the last book is called The History of the Jews and Judaism in the Second Temple Period, Volume 1, and then Volume 2, which is The Coming of the Greeks, the Early Hellenistic Period. So Volume 1 is Yehud, A History of the Persian Province of Judah, and Volume 2 is The Coming of the Greeks, the Early Hellenistic Period. I'm giving you both of them. All you got to do is read these 3 books, and you'll learn the entire history of what we call the rabbinic tradition and where it came from. It answers everything for you, right? So let me give you these 2 books. Hold on one second. Let me give you Volume 1. Hey, you're not going to get this elsewhere from our community, right? I give you these sources. I don't just tell you my opinion. I'm giving you these sources. It's free game, right? Here's the last one right here. Hold on one second. Let me grab it for you. Let's get Volume 2. Take some time over the next couple of months and read through these books. So if you really want the answer, it's in here. Okay. So I've done independent research and I've included this in that research. And then I looked at the text. I looked at extra biblical text, apocryphal text, pseudepigraphal works, and I learned where those traditions come from. They don't go back further than Ezra and Nehemiah. I'll debate any rabbi, any black Jew, anybody who's entrenched in Judaism, whether you're conservative, whether you're Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox. I'll debate anybody and prove to you that the oral tradition and or rabbinic tradition goes no back further than Ezra and Nehemiah. I'll put money up on that. I debated Jews. I got one video with a conservative Jew debate. All right. Oh, wait. Some of those books are not giving you immediate access. All right. Let me fix that. Hold on. Let me fix that. Let me fix that. All right, this one's restricted. I'm gonna free it up now. Okay, this one restricted? Let me see. Yep, let me open that up. Okay, and let me open up this one that I shared here. Okay, let me open up this one here. All right, I'll open up all the books, so you just got to click it now. You don't have to request access. Just click it, and it should open up for you, okay? Anytime, my brother, anytime, right? So when it comes to the Pharisees and Sadducees, all they was doing, so what does this mean, the rabbinical oral tradition? It started off as part of the familial cult, and then it was nationalized, which means a lot of these traditions, I'm not going to say some of them are later, some of them are early. The earliest traditions that we can find in the Talmud, more particularly the Mishnah and in some of the discourse of the rabbis in the Gemara, right? They started within the family context. Let me give you a book on that so you understand what's on. It's called Material Religion and Material Culture. You got to study that to understand this stuff, right? Let me give it to you real quick, right? I gave you the first one on Persia. That's really good. This one is called Family and Religion and Household Religion. You need this book. Let me make sure that it's free and open up for y'all to see. Yep. You need this book to find out how the familial cults was nationalized. What do you mean by familial cults? Meaning that there were certain oral traditions that people were doing in the home before it became centralized, nationalized, and centralized, standardized, and nationalized. That's very important, right? You'll see how it develops over time, right? And then by the time we get to the actual written Mishnah in 200 CE, this is the result of not only the Sanhedrin councils that we know that occurred during the Grecian Greco-Roman period, but also previous councils, previous discussions. And you can see a lot of this in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah. Okay. So, oh yeah, get Mordecai. That's a good brother. I know Mordecai. That's my brother, but he's extremely conservative, right? Yeah, get one of them. I'll bring him on the channel, have a discussion with them. I actually discussed this with him. Matter of fact, I actually had a discussion with him on Clubhouse about this early last year. I don't know if I put that on the channel. Well, actually, that discussion I had with that conservative rabbi, Mordecai, is on that Clubhouse session that I have on my YouTube channel. Go back and check it out. And he gave his 2 cents, right? But he agreed. He acquiesced to what I was saying. He didn't have no problems with that. But you can't walk around as a Jew, a practicing Jew of Orthodox Judaism, and be saying that. You can say it to me in these conversations, but you can't say that around other Jews like that. You can't say that because that's a tradition that they're not going to let go. But if you do independent and objective scholarship, you'll see the source of it, where it comes from. And I don't say that to burst anybody's bubbles or undermine anybody's subscription to the tradition. It's just the facts. It is what it is. And if somebody has a heavy contention with it, I would love to have a discussion so you can see, both diametrically opposed positions, right? All right. So those 4 books will answer your question in depth, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Take some time. Everybody here, take some time, read those books. And if it may be difficult for you to finish a book, go to the table of contents. First, read the preface. Always read the preface, read the introduction, and then go into the table of contents and choose only the data that you want, right? If you do those 3 things, the preface, the introduction, and only go into the content in the table of contents looking for the specific data that you want, you can get everything you need from that book without reading all 500, 600, 700, 800, 900 pages. So I'm just giving you a cheat code. Right? And you can always go back to the book once you screen the table of contents for other data that it may have that you may need at a later time. But you do that so that way, if you read the whole book, it may take you in a million directions. So you have to stay focal, have a focal point, which is the preface, the introduction, and only the content you need from the table of contents. You go strictly to those chapters, you read that, and then you go on to the next book in a thematic order, right? That talk about the same subject matter, and do the same thing with those books. So I want you to do that with these 4 books. When we do our classes, I'm going to teach you how to do all of this, right? I'm going to teach you how to speed read. I'm going to teach you how to get what you need from any book, right? Without having to read the whole book. If you don't have the time or the patience or whatever to do it, I'm going to help you out. Trust me. So many techniques I'm going to show you in this classes. I should be charging way more for this, right? But right now, it's just at $50. Maybe later on when I get it accredited, which I plan to do sometime in the future, the price will go up. So take advantage of it now while you can, okay? But that'll answer your question, my brother. Now, let me get to the other question real quick. Where's the other question real quick? Let me see. All right, here, Dan Smith. Let me answer your question. I'm gonna close off. I got 4 minutes. And again, I apologize for the background noise because my youngest daughter is still up and my family's still prepping for the Shabbat. Okay. All right. So the last question is, Divine, is there anything in the scriptures that says to pray for your home to remove spirits? Right. Now, how do you repel evil spirits? Right. Let me give you an example. When you keep Torah, you can repel evil spirits. When you keep Torah. When you purge your house of things that are connected to things that can be connected to what we call spirits, that's another thing. The other one is also to have a talisman. I have a talisman right here. This talisman was weird traditionally. It's just called the Silver Scrolls, right? Let me show you right here. All right. All right, let me show this to y'all real quick. So I don't wear stuff. See, one thing you'll see about me is whatever I wear is intentional and purposeful. I don't wear things in vain. I used to do that when I was younger. But when you get older, you put away childish things. So everything I wear is purposeful and have a meaning. The hat, the shirt, everything that I wear is purposeful, have a meaning. If I wear something ornamental, it has a purpose and or a meaning, right? And or a function, right? I try to stay away from vanity because it is distracting and it depletes away from anything that you're trying to say because people are distracted by what you're wearing, right? So why I wear this, I have this as a keychain and a necklace. And if you're interested in getting one, just email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. We'll get you the link so that you can purchase one, right? But why I wear that is based on something that our ancestors used and utilized, which again, is not specifically in the scriptures. Actually, is in the scriptures. This is the Aaronic blessing in Numbers chapter 6, verse 24 to 26, right? And this was used, it was rolled up. It's a scroll, small scroll rolled up, placed in an amulet, and it was worn to repel evil spirits, right? This is the current consensus on how to interpret what this item is. And I'm going to show it to you real quick, right? Right, this is the Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology, right? And this is called the Ketef Hinnom Scrolls, a look at the oldest biblical text ever discovered, right? By the Armstrong Institute staff. This is the Ketef Hinnom Scrolls as displayed in the Israel Museum. When I go back there, I'm going to go specifically just on an academic mission and get academic data for you guys, right? I'm going to do interviews, talk to curators and all that, right? It says, in the early 1980s, after 3 years of research and testing, the archaeological world was rocked as 2 tiny silver scrolls were finally unrolled and exposed to the light of day, revealing the oldest preserved passage of scripture ever discovered. The Ketef Hinnom scrolls were discovered in southwest Jerusalem during the 1979 excavation conducted by Professor Gabriel Barkay. The tightly wound metal scrolls were so delicate that 2 museums declined the opportunity to try to open them. When conservators at the Israel Museum at last managed to unroll the objects, they were stunned to find preserved verses from the Torah, passages from what we know today as Numbers 6 and Deuteronomy 7. These scrolls were among a collection of over 1,000 objects found inside a tomb on the edge of the Hinnom Valley, southwest of the Jerusalem's old city. The scrolls are 99% pure silver and are tiny. The longest is barely 9.5 centimeters long and 2.5 centimeters wide, unrolled. Barkay believes the scrolls may have been worn as amulets. Their somewhat fragmentary text reads as follows alongside the biblical verses. Amulet 1, the great, who keeps the covenant and graciousness towards those who love him and those who keep his commandments. Remember we discussed this earlier about those who love God. How do you love God? You keep the commandments and the testimony of Yeshua. That's what we find in Revelation. Those are the ones who are going to be persecuted. Not the ones who are on opposite ends of the spectrum, but the ones in the middle, keeping the commandments and the testimony of Yeshua. Blessings more than any and more than evil, for redemption is in him, for Yahweh is our restorer and rock. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you. It's the parallel Bible verses. Who keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 9. And the Lord Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee. Numbers chapter 6, verse 24 to 25. Amulet 2. May he, she be blessed by Yahweh, the warrior helper and the rebuker of evil. You see that? That's why they believe it was worn as an amulet to function as a talisman. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and grant you peace. See, that right there, the Aaronic blessings. When you go into Torah, everything that's a song, like the Song of the Sea, everything that's a blessing, and everything that's legal code precedes the narratives. All of these three items precedes, and they have more archaic elements in it than the actual narrative passages, which were written later. These were more traditional and kept orally for a long period of time before we get the written portions of the text, putting you onto game, right? Saving you time. The parallel verses, Numbers chapter 6, verse 24 to 26. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face to shine upon thee and give thee peace. He's the rebuker of evil. And when his face shines upon you, you keeping his commandments, peace will be granted to you. So that's wherever you live, wherever you work, you are an Adamite. The image bearers, which is my next lecture after the divine patronage. This is deep. I got some deep lectures, right? The image bearers are only those who are in the will of Yeshua by way of the Father. You have to be a commandment keeper and a testimony keeper of Yeshua to be an image bearer. Image bearers have dominion. They've been given dominion. Evil spirits can't reside in an area where you have dominion. You only have evil spirits when you don't have dominion. Well, then how do we get dominion, divine? That's a great question. When I do the image bearers lecture or the Imago Dei lecture, you'll get all the details, right? But I'm just giving you a little bit now, right? The blessings you can utilize to dispel these spirits. When you have a talisman on your person, it assists with that and is representative of that. Same way that having fridges represents the keeping of the commandments. The fridges themselves can't do nothing, but it's what purpose it serves as a reminder for you to zakar, to remember. Same thing with this. So when you feel the presence, then you give that Aaronic blessing. And my recommendation is to say it in Hebrew. It has more power in the resonance of Hebrew than it does in English, because that was the original intent for that blessing. It says the parallel wording is even more obvious when directly comparing the Hebrew lettering on the amulets to the Hebrew scriptures. The exact letter accuracy preserved and continued in the Hebrew Bible for over 2.5 millenniums to this day is truly remarkable to see. 2,600 years of textual transmission has been preserved. You see that? All praise to the Most High Yah. The scrolls were dated based on the script and the artifacts around them to the late 7th, early 6th century BCE, making them the oldest biblical text ever found, predating the Dead Sea Scrolls by some 500 years. The writing form matched that used before the conquest of Judah by Nebuchadnezzar and the early 6th century BCE, similar, for example, to the letters found at the biblical city of Lachish. This came as a surprise for some because a prevailing theory among minimalist biblical scholars was that the Torah, including the biblical passages, were not written until centuries later, following 586 BCE, the destruction of the Jerusalem temple and city and walls. As such, there was some pushback to the dating. However, in a 2004 study, high-definition photographs were examined by 4 scholars of 4 different institutions, concluding that the new techniques enabled them to reaffirm with confidence that the late pre-exilic period is the proper chronological context for the artifacts. That's why when we talk about pre-exilic, we reconstruct the material culture. And this was one of the items used in the material culture. So that way, if you want to repel evil spirits, Yahweh, his name, you have to have Yod He Wave somewhere in your house. Some people do it by getting a menorah with the name on it, or by getting their doorposts with the name written on it, or a Torah scroll preserved in a mezuzah, right? you have to have Yahweh's name, Yahu's name. Some of y'all say Yahuwah. Some of y'all say Yahweh. His name has to be etched, preferably in Paleo Hebrew, somewhere in your house. And you must have the Aaronic blessing somewhere on your person or somewhere close to where you're at. And when you keep the commandments within that context, spirits cannot reside there. But if you have competing idols or things that draw attention to these spirits, then they will continue to stay with you. Because everything you do, all your affirmations are going to be of no avail if you have things that are countering that. Get rid of the idols in your home. Cleanse yourself of the idols. Anything that represents a demonic entity or a force from another nation or power from another nation that is trying to draw your attention to worship. And if you want to know more about the new gods as opposed to the old gods, which the text represents, you need to watch the what was it? The HBO series. What was that? New Gods versus Old Gods. What's that called? American Gods. I think that was it, right? American Gods. So American Gods, I adjure everyone to go and watch American Gods, because those old gods, all they did was transition to these new gods, and all the old gods are competing with the new gods, which is money and fame and Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. These are the new gods. Money, wealth, prestige. These are the new gods. Cars, houses, women, men. These are the new gods. Okay? If anything in your house is drawing more attention to it than Yah, it has to go. You have to keep your body under subjection or subjugation, like Paul says. That's important. Sorry, Stars, not HBO. My apologies. Thank you for the correction. I thought it was HBO, but you said it was Stars. Okay, cool. All right. So, again, if you read other articles on this, it'll mention that it's an actual talisman. This site right here, I'll drop this link in the chat in case you want to read the rest of it. But again, this is one of the things you can utilize to repel evil spirits. Keep the commandments, hold fast to the testimony of Yeshua, right? Keep Yahweh's name in your home, as well as his son's name in your home. You need the Father, you need the Son, you need their name somewhere in the home. And then you need a blessing on your person and or somewhere within your home. Then you must rid yourself of the idols. You see, anytime a revolution happened, in order to invoke Yah's presence, they had to get rid of the idols that was amongst them. The reason why Israel could not subdue their land when they left Egypt is because they did not get rid of the idols and false gods that was amongst them. Josiah, Hezekiah, in order for them to be righteous kings, they first had to cleanse the land. Your domain is your home where you have dominion. You must cleanse your home. Remove the idols. Remove them. I didn't say that. That's what the text says. And no evil spirits can reside in your presence because Yah will rebuke them. He is your patron deity. He is your rock and your redeemer. He is your helper. He is your salvation. And he has given this to his agent, Yeshua, to place this salvation via the Ruach in our hearts, in our minds, and in our presence. When we do this lecture called Divine Patronage, explicating what calling on the name of the Lord means in the Bible, I'm going to show you this. The invocation. How do you invoke the God's presence? And what do you have to give to him in order for his presence to reside and stay? And when his presence comes, how to get into that worship. That's the intimacy. That's how you get the God to stay. You get intimate with the God, to worship. And then you end off with covenant, with a vow. This is what votive offerings are for. It's a whole process if you really want to get the deity's attention and what his presence to stay with you. Because the reason why calling the name of the Lord was important is because mankind had drifted away from the presence, the protection, and the production of the deity. The deity is there to make you prosperous. We see that happen with Abraham. We see that happen with the commandments in Deuteronomy chapter 28. His intent is to make you prosperous. His intent is to provide you his presence, where he says in Ezekiel chapter 11 that my I will be a little sanctuary amongst them. How do we get him to be a sanctuary? His presence has to reside there, but it can't reside unless you give an offering. Can't reside unless you worship. It can't reside unless you covet it and vow. I'm giving you deep science, man. That lecture is going to be so profound. It's going to blow minds. I guarantee. I've never seen a teaching like this in the community ever. I've never seen nobody teach like this in the community. And I thank the Most High that he has given it to me to give to y'all for free on YouTube. Because some people say, oh, Divine, how could you charge for a lecture? Because I can. If you want the free word, there's something called the Bible. You can go pick one up. There's donation centers all over the country and churches you can pick up a free Bible from. You can read the word for yourself. But if I'm going to teach on it, I put my time, effort, and energy into it. Time away from my family, from my job, from my personal needs to do this for the community. And the workman is worthy of his reward. That's what the scripture says. So if I decide I want to charge, it's a way to keep the trolls out so everybody can focus on the content at hand. And I thank everybody for allowing the last lecture I did to be successful. All praise go to the Most High. This next one is going to be free for everybody on YouTube to enjoy. Okay? So again, hey, we about to get deep. That was an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Hopefully that answered your question. And I'm going to bow out now. Under 3 hours, 2 hours and 42 minutes, I want to say all praise to the Most High Yah. I appreciate all my VIP, everybody who's in the audience, y'all my VIPs, for making this show so popular, making this show a success, for supporting the ministry by signing up for the Patreon, by giving through the super chats, by keeping me in prayer, lifted up, sending words of encouragement my way. I appreciate that, right? Again, before you go, everybody who came in late, don't forget to get you a t-shirt because Easter is coming. Easter is coming. And if you want to witness to those same Christians that you get the attention of by wearing this shirt, get one of the Be Like series, especially the Be Like Jesus series. He's a Torah keeper to the end. So even our merchandise, even after the show is over, if you purchase the merchandise, we'll continue to witness to those who maybe not be privy to the information shared on this screen. We try to give you merchandise to represent that. All right. And we have new merchandise coming this year outside of t-shirts and stuff that's coming soon that I know you guys will enjoy. All right. So may the Most High bless you and keep you. May he shine his face and his countenance upon you. He will show his steadfast love, mercy, and grace towards you for those who love him. But the love can only be generated if you are in acceptance of the good, bad, and ugly, which is designed to bring about your purpose and align you with his will. May the Ruach get all the credit for all the good that we do, and may our flesh get all the credit for all the wickedness and unrighteousness that we do. Yah will continue to prevail. Love him with all your mind, heart, body, and soul, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. You may say, well, how can I love my neighbor as I love myself if all my love is given to Yah? Because when you love Yah, it's about emptying yourself so he can fill you, and that overflow will go into your neighbor. Let these words bless you and keep you. And I pray the Most High in his spirit and his presence will continue amongst you and your family, and that you will be the image bearers of the Most High. And the image bearer is truly the son of the Most High power on high. All praise to Yod He Vav He. Much love, family. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. And hopefully everything that was said here and discussed here resonates with your soul and brings you back into right relationship with the Creator. All praise to the Most High. That's right. Much love, family. I love you. Peace and shalom. Shalom, shalom.